This is Rugby Radio
with Stuart Cameron.
Brought to you by Borders College.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio, which comes to you live from Lasswade this afternoon. We're covering the vital National 2 match between Lasswade and Peebles. Peebles at the top of the table and in a very good position after last week's results, while Lasswade are also challenging for promotion and of course are now coached by former Lasswade, Scotland and British and Irish Lions prop, and that of course is Peter Wright. Well, we're with you all the way through till 5 o'clock and down at pitch side, chained to a pole so he doesn't blow away. We're delighted to say we have Hugh Brown on the team today. And Hugh, first of all, let's address the elephant in the room, or the elephant in the sky. It's rather windy.
I thought you were talking about me there, Stuart, but as if you would.
No, of course not. Of course
yes,
not.
It's blowing about 40 miles an hour at the moment, left to right from the stand as we look at it, and that is going to make a huge difference. I just watched the referee come out from the players' tunnel where I'm standing to try and get a bit of shelter from that wind, and he was telling me they haven't actually done the toss yet, so we don't know which way the two teams will be playing, but I suspect it will be, as they say in rugby and football parlance, a game of two halves, because the wind is definitely going to play a huge influence on how this game ends up.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I talked to people like Jamie McFarlane when he used to manage Jed, and he coached Hoyt YM and stuff, and he was always adamant. He said, if the wind is blowing a gale, I will put my team to go, if we win the toss, go into the wind rather than with it. Now that doesn't kind of sit right for me, because you play with the wind, and of course there's always the chance that by the second half it could change direction.
Absolutely, and according to the forecast that you and I have been looking at, the wind is actually forecast to lessen a bit by the time the second half gets underway, so that also could well make a difference, down from 40 to just 20 miles an hour, just a mere 20.
Just the 20, that's right. Well, I was here in 2011, I've been back since, but the famous win for Lasswade against Jed Forest in the Cup, when a very young 17-year-old Ewan Scott kicked a 65-metre monster, helped by the wind of course, from obviously his own half of the field, and it went over, and it was horizontal rain. If you do get the chance to watch that video, it's still up there on YouTube, and that was quite an event. A great day for Lasswade, of course, being giant killers, and it was the day that Cliff Livingston, effectively on the Monday, that was it for him. He was sacked as head coach of Jed Forest, so not many great memories for him, but the wind is certainly going to play a part today.
It certainly is. It's actually a lovely ground. It's one of the nicest grounds I've been to. Really nice looking pitch. Pitch is in excellent condition considering the weather and things. And I'm just noticing below the club badge at the Players' Tunnel, there's actually a plaque which says Lasswade Rugby Football Club. The new Hawthornden Stadium was opened on August the 4th, 2007 by who?
Peter Wright.
Peter Wright, yeah. Who now coaches the team. That's
right, who you'll be talking to very, very shortly. Well, of course, you have spoken to him earlier. We'll play that out in a second. But last week's results certainly went the way of Peebles, didn't they? They were the only team in the top 5 to pick up any points. They got 5 of them as well. Okay, admittedly, 2 of them didn't play, so they aren't going to get anything. But psychologically, Peebles would have loved that, because they beat Falkirk last week, who were top of the table. Peebles have now leapfrogged them into the first position. But more importantly, Gordonians went to Aberdeen Grammar, who are the bottom club, and lost that match and came away with nothing. And they really had to win that to keep in contention. So it seems to be down to Lasswade, Peebles and also Falkirk as the 3 who could get promotion. But today's match and the result of today's match is going to play such a big part in this league.
It is, because at the moment Peebles are 8 points ahead of Lasswade, the team they played today, but Lasswade have a game in hand which could also make a huge difference at the end of the season. But if Lasswade were to win today and beat Peebles, then they would climb the table and be really in contention. And let's remember that in the National Leagues this season, in the new format, it is only one team promoted, so it really is a fight to the death this season.
And in National 1 in particular, obviously we're in National 2 today, today, but National 1 pretty much done and dusted. A couple of points for Ayr at home today to bottom club GHA, and they are champions. And to actually wrap the title up by Christmas is fantastic.
They have. They've just been the outstanding team in that league, haven't they? They've been streets ahead of anyone else. And I think, we know the setup well, and you know it well too, across there at Millbrae. And it is actually they're such a good club, such a well set up club. And if they get that promotion, and they may well, as you say, do that today, then they deserve it.
Absolutely. I mean, fantastic team, unbeaten. You cannot, take anything against them at all. And of course, it's a team that's been wanting promotion and been trying to get promotion. Kelso pipped them last year. The year before that, it was another team, but they've actually gone out and absolutely just ran away with it. And of course, what it means is that down below that, it means everything else is almost a dead rubber apart from at the bottom of the table, which is very different to how we are in National 2 and National 3. Plenty of excitement.
Yes, it is a very exciting end to the season, and although as we said, winter rugby doesn't always sit very happily, particularly with those of us who have to come and cover it and commentate on it, but it's going to be an exciting end to the season in National Leagues 2 and 3, and because again, as I said, it is only one team promoted, one team relegated, it could well go right the way to the end of the season. I suspect this league, National 2, will do that, but as we said, if Peebles can secure a victory today and perhaps even get that bonus point try win, then that will go a long way to setting the scene for the end of the season and hopefully for promotion for the men from the Guides.
Well, we'll let you know what else is on this afternoon very shortly, but earlier Hugh spoke with both head coaches, Graham Patterson of Peebles, and first of all let's hear his interview with the one and the only Mr. Peter Wright.
Peter, it's a wild and windy afternoon. That's going to affect the way the game is played.
If you let it affect it will. You've got to go in with a fairly positive mindset. It does alter things slightly, especially when you've got the wind at the back. Well, either way you've got to play slightly different, but we're used to the wind. To be fair, most teams in Scotland are used to wind and rain, so I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I think the teams that cope with it the best, obviously it's the old cliche, will get the best out of it.
Peebles are 8 points ahead of you just now. If you get a win today and get the 5 points, well, it's game on for the title. Yeah,
very much so. We know that if we win the game, we bring everybody back into it. Newton Stewart come back into it, Falkirk come back into it. But the flip side to that is if Peebles win, it's their league. They'll win the league. I've no doubt about that. So it's the most important game of the season for us, and it will be for them as well, because they know, from a winning point for them, or a winning situation for them, gives them the real box seat for going up into National 1.
And I mean, the last time the two teams met was down at the Guides, and there was a single point between the teams. I watched that game. It was a very, very close encounter, and you came out on top by that single point. Yeah,
I don't think there's much between the two teams. I think there's probably two slightly different styles, but both teams are reasonably good at what they do. We had a really, really good first 50 minutes, and then People's got a foothold in the game, got themselves back in it, and as you say, got to within a point, but thought we managed the last 10 or 12 minutes really well. So it's a real challenge, and we know that People's are always being a good side. They bring a lot of young players through. They've got a lot of young boys to their under 18s for last year who were pretty successful, and that's what you're looking to do. You're looking to produce your own players. I suppose both teams are fairly unique, and probably the biggest majority of players on both sides come from the respective towns, go through the respective schooling system. So that's good. That's a good thing. So it's got the potential to be a really good game. The weather could dictate a little bit, but I know certainly we're up for the challenge and having the one thing I always emphasise about this is Saturday afternoons is fun. This is the fun part of the week. You train hard all week. You train on a Tuesday, Thursday. Most of the boys do weights other times during the week. So this is the bit where you come out, and at the end of the match you've got to have a smile on your face, and the easiest way to do that is to win. Well, the best way to do that is to win. It's not the easiest, but it's the best way is to have a victory under your belt.
I think, having looked at the two teams, you've got the older, more experienced here, and you've got Blair Smith, who's played for you for 22 years. You've also got a former Scotland Rugby League international in Lewis Clark. So you've got you've got old heads in the team, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, the pack. I think everybody in the pack's over 30, apart from a couple. Young Liam Jackman's only 19. So yeah, it's guys that have played together for many years. So there is that team But that only works if the guys have the right attitude and come in with the right mindset today. They like games against Peebles. Obviously, there's a lot of young boys in the Peebles team. But that brings strengths and weaknesses, as older players do. They bring strengths and weaknesses, and young players are exactly the same. So, we've got a game plan that we want to play. We've been using that for most of the season, and we're not going to change it. The weather will dictate a little bit, slightly change it a little bit. But in the end, we want to play with width. We want to try and play rugby. We want to keep the ball for multiple phases. We believe we've got a good back division that can hurt anybody, and we need to get those guys in the game and on the ball. So that'll be the challenge for the forwards in our 9 and 10 is to facilitate that. And we'll do that. And defensively, we just got to be strong in defence. We just got to make sure that we cut down the penalties to deny Peebles that kick to the corner and their rolling maul, which is very, very good. So that's down to the discipline of the players, and that's something we've talked about pretty much since that last game.
And you're predicting a Lasswade win?
Obviously, yeah. I'm sure Graham predicted a Peebles win. We're at home. We're the ones that have to be favourites because we're at home, and home advantage makes a big, big difference. They'll be smarting after the defeat down at Peebles, where they probably felt they should have won it at the end, and we wouldn't have argued it if that was the case. But what I do know, it'll not be the want from the 30 boys on the pitch at any one time. It'll not be for the want of those guys trying hard for their clubs, and we just hope that the right result, the fair result, whether that's us winning or Lasswade winning, or Peebles winning, as long as it's that kind of right result, and that the one man in particular, or one female, because I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman that's doing the refereeing, that they're not the influence in the game. We want the game to be won by the players and maybe not by someone else.
I'm sure we're in for a good game this afternoon, Peter. All the best to you and to the Peebles lads as well, and may the best team win.
Thanks very much.
Graham, it's a very blustery day here at Lasswade. Is that going to affect the playing conditions?
Well, obviously it will. I mean, the obvious one is the kicking game. It's going to affect it both ways, what you can do and what you can't do. So we factor that into our team talks and our preparation for the week anyway. So we've talked about that, and it's just about going out and dealing with it now.
Now you've gone very well this season since I last saw you, which was the fact down at the Gates against Lasswade when you lost by a point. You've done really well, and you're top of the table.
Yeah, the guys have really stuck to the tasks. They've been adding things into their games as we go along the weeks, and I think that just bred a bit of confidence in them, and it's just gone game to game, and we're really looking, a more rounded team, I would say, than what we were at the start of the season, which for obvious reasons you're going to get that, as you go through, and if you're winning, that means that you're getting that confidence, and you can then add things to it. You're not having to fix things, you're more likely to add things to your game.
I mentioned that match down at the Gates against Lasswade. You lost by a single point. It was a cracking match, played in pretty terrible conditions towards the end, and you were very, very unlucky. Do you think you can go better today?
Obviously, yes. But no, we were under no illusion that it's going to be a difficult game. I think, looking back to that one and one we talked about, we just gave too much of a lead to Lasswade and gave ourselves just 1 point too many to catch up with them. And it was the real game of two halves. Where Lasswade got into that lead. So our big thing is about just making sure that we're in that fight all the way through, and it's a lot closer come the end of the game, and hopefully just we get the point this time.
One of the big differences for you this season has undoubtedly been the signing of Matty Carrier. I mean, 10 tries, it's a huge haul and makes a big difference to the team, and he's such a leader, isn't he? Yeah,
10 tries and a total distance of about 22 yards, but he's had a massive impact. His experience, as well as how he plays as well, has been key to us, and bringing guys on, especially the younger guys in that tight five, how they play, how they apply themselves at training as well as in the games, is really shining through. So he's been a great example, and it's great to have him back where he belongs, back at Peebles.
Yes, because he started his career at Peebles, didn't he?
He did. I was his Colts coach many years ago, under 18 level. So he was at Peebles for a good number of years until he moved away to Gala and then down to Hoyk, and has done well. Wherever he goes, he does well. So it's testament to him and what he does.
One of the things I've noticed looking at the team lineup is you've got quite a lot of ex-Colts coming up into the senior team. Is that important?
It's absolutely vital for a club like Peebles, for any club really, to be honest. This is about retention of players, not about recruitment of players as such, and that's how the shift is in club rugby now in Scotland. I think it's about just retaining your players rather than going out and trying to recruit players, especially at the level that we're at. Now, understandably, the top levels are maybe looking to look and recruit players from down below and good players from there, but we're just looking to develop our own players and make that a real focus for the club and make it a club environment.
It is very wild and windy, we've said. I should imagine that will mean it'll be a running and passing game rather than a kicking game.
Well, the kicking game could be interesting, I think, with the wind. It'll obviously assist going one way, and it'll really, put some challenges in for how we play going into it for both teams as well, ourselves and Lasswade. So yeah, but I think both teams, to be fair, will want to play rugby. And that's what we're here to do, is how you apply yourself at different stages of the games is how it pans out in the game, and just making those good decisions and what to do. Now, it could be play from under your sticks, if that's what the picture dictates, or it could be hoof it down the pitch 70 yards and hope for the best,
There are quite a few teams chasing you, obviously, including Lasswade, but if you win today, that would be a huge step towards taking the title.
It would be, but in the old cliche, we're taking it one game at a time and getting ourselves to the end of 2023 in a good position to then progress on in 2024. So yeah, you're right. A win today would make us, very much in the driving seat, but we're well aware that everybody's gunning for us, and we know we need to be very good every single game to win every single game going in.
We love cliches on Rugby Radio, Graham, so thank you very much indeed. All the best for this afternoon. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
That's Graham Patterson, and before that, Peter Wright talking to Hugh Brown. And we're just 14 minutes away from kick-off here at Lasswade, the big game in National 2, Lasswade against Peebles. Well, also today in the Premiership, no match for champions and league leaders Hawick or Edinburgh Accies, but Purdie are playing Glasgow Hawks. Jed Forrester at home to Heriots Blues, still looking for their first win of the season at their 15th attempt. Kelso are playing Mar in arguably the most important match today, and will be crossing to Poynter Park very, very shortly. In fact, I think we can go to Poynter Park now, and waiting for us there's David Ferguson. It's Kelso against Mar.
A game the week before Christmas can be great for attracting a big crowd, and one is expected this afternoon at Poynter Park, with Kelso Harlequins also playing later on at 5 p.m. in the National Under-18s Plate Final against Selkirk Youth Club. But it's not always so great for players who made earlier plans thinking the league would be in hibernation now. Kelso are without their orchestrator at scrum half Andy Tate and powerful lock Angus Common due to a wedding, wingers Angus Roberts and Hamish Tweedy, prop Ashton Asante, who's on Scotland Under-20s duty, and Archie Cowans. Liam Tate, big back row, is also a late withdrawal due to suffering a broken hand. But they've got Nick Stingle stepping in at scrum half, James Thompson to the wing, and Cammy Thompson comes in to the back row. Robbie Baird is back at scrum half for Mar, with Jack Scott shifted to the wing to accommodate Greg Montgomery at fullback, and up front Cameron Young is back in the back row. Now both these teams, Kelso and Mar, are among the most informed sides in the Premiership, behind only Hawick and Currie. In recent weeks they come into this one off the back of wins, and both have a similar recent run of 4 victories in the last 6 games, albeit Mar are aiming for their 4th win on the trot this afternoon, and Kelso their 2nd. Mar have lost twice away from home at Heriots and Hawick, but they trounced Kelso 48-14 at home early in the season. So they know, Kelso certainly know, that they have to play well if they're going to take points this afternoon. But most of Mar's wins have been within a score, so we're expecting a close affair, backed by a lot of noise in the stands here at a windy Poynter Park this afternoon.
David Ferguson covering that one for us at Poynter Park. We're going to be talking to Alan Lorimer very shortly. He's at the Jed Forrest game against Jed Forrest, who are playing Heriots Blues today. It's just had a bit of a mind blank there. So we'll be catching up with him very shortly, and that's coming up very, very soon.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio.
Borders College is your local community college. Why not read about the successes of former students, from successful businesses to top sports athletes? We love to share their successes and hear from former students. If that's you, get in touch and tell us about your own success. Read the success stories and tell us about yours right now at borderscollege.ac.uk. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
When the weather's dreich and a storm's a brewing, you need a strong, windproof, quality umbrella delivered with good old-fashioned customer service and at an affordable price. Up here in Umbrella Heaven, we say you tackle the ball, we'll tackle the weather. UmbrellaHeaven.com. Brave the storm.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair, but her mummy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go, but her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen. But the film is a sad thing for she's lived it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools as they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the low man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is their life on Mars? It's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. And now the workers have struck for fame, 'cause Lennon's on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes, from Ibiza to the Norfolk Broads. Rule Britannia is out of bounds, to my mother, my dog and clowns. But the film is a sad thing more, 'cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be writ again, as I ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the low man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is there
Music there from David Bowie on Rugby Radio. 1:54 is the time, the big build-up coming up. Lasswade against Peebles today. Let me tell you also, because we've had some early kick-offs as well, 1:30 kick-off at Rubislaw. Aberdeen Grammar 10, Kirkcaldy 3 is a latest score. That is a vital one as well. Aberdeen in 10th position, Kirkcaldy in 8th, and of course Berwick, who are playing today at Newton Stewart, who of course lost to Aberdeen last week. And in National 1, Watsonians are playing GHA at Marside. It's Watsonians 3, GHA 7. That's a 1:30 kick-off at the moment, simply because there's a women's game a little bit later on and they're combining both in the same day. Well, I think we can go to Riverside Park now. Jed Forest against Heriots Blues. Jed Forest have lost 14 on the bounce. They're hoping to get a win today. It could be curtains as far as relegation is concerned. It's all going to be down today. They certainly need a try bonus bare minimum and hope that Glasgow Hawks don't pick up anything. But let's find out the news from Alan Lorimer.
Jed will hope to go into the Christmas break with a confidence-boosting win from today's match against Heriots Blues at Riverside, but such an outcome would only provide a psychological lift and not a realistic route to escape what seems the inevitable exit from the Premiership at the end of the season. Arithmetically, it's still possible for Jed to avoid the drop, but today is the last chance saloon for the Riverside club to make any dent in the 19-point gap between the Royal Blues and the second bottom place club Glasgow Hawks, who it should be noted have 2 games in hand. Making the task all the more difficult is a desire by Heriots to claim a place in the top 4. Currently the Blues are just 1 point below 4th place Musselburgh, and we'll see today's game at Riverside as a real chance to leapfrog the East Lothian club. Heriots are missing several key players for today's game, and that could present a window of opportunity to a Jed side that has good performers but which needs to make the sum of the parts count. For the game against Heriots, Don Buckley has been moved to stand-off and Owen Cranston to inside centre alongside Rory Marshall. Jed are boosted by the turn to full service of their Scotland club cap Gregor Law, who makes his first start since recovering from injury. The big man came off the bench last week against Hawick and looked to be in good form, and that could be just what Jed need to spark a mini revival. Last week's game against Hawick exposed Jed's defensive frailties as well as their shape and attack behind the scrum. Jed fans will be hoping that these issues have been fully addressed this week in training and that their team can give a good account of themselves to provide a spirited start to the festive season.
That is Alan Lorimer, who's at Riverside Park today. Aberdeen Grammar have scored another try, so that's 2 in the bag already. 17 points to 3 at Rubislaw against Kirkcaldy. Well, Peebles are already on the pitch, which is a bit of a surprise because we're 3 minutes away. But we'll cross over now to our commentary team for the day, which is Scott Tomlinson and, first of all, Robin Purdie.
Thank you, Stuart, and welcome to Hawthornden on a blustery December day for top of the table fare in National 2. Peebles lead the way on 51 points. Lasswade sit 8 points behind with a game in hand, with these two making up 50% of a 4-horse race in what is shaping up to be the season's most exciting division. A win for Lasswade would bring them right back into the hunt, whereas Peebles will be looking to massively enhance their title credentials while possibly ending those of today's opponents. Looking at the teams for Lasswade, first of all, Lewis Clark's at full-back. The wings are Kieran Lamont and Grant Innes. David Hall and Mark Wilson are in the midfield, with Cameron Cattrall and Matthew Smith at 9 and 10. Captain Graham Cook, Darren Tiffany and Dale Robertson are the front row. The middle row is Ali Lamond and Stephen Hunter, with Liam Gregg, Liam Jackaman and Blair Smith forming the back row. Peebles are David Collins at 15, Jordan Charters and Neil Pater on the wings. James Dow and James Hodgkiss are at 12 and 13. Ross Wolfenden's at 10, with Jack Harrison at 9. John Napier, Matty Carrier and John Gray packed down in the front row. The locks are Ross Brown and Callum McRobert, with the back row Rowan McKeever, Skipper Murdo Anderson and Finlay Collins. Today's man in the middle is Derek Ramsey, and helping me call this one this afternoon, Scott Tomlinson. So Scott, this one's got a bit of a season defining feel about it today for both these clubs.
Yeah, good afternoon Robin, and good afternoon everybody. Looking forward to this one. You know, it's a blustery conditions just now, so but there's no lack of interest here this afternoon. You know, you can almost think that Lasswade, if they were to beat Peebles today, they would be back in the hunt. And from a Peebles point of view, you could almost close the door. For example, there's still a wee bit to go yet, but you know, it's a massive game for Peebles this afternoon.
It most certainly is. Well, it's been kicked off by Peebles. I believe Lasswade won the toss and have elected to play into what is a very stiff breeze at the moment, which is an interesting call. So Lasswade were in early possession, but that's been coughed up, so it's going to be a head and feed to a Peebles scrum, centre field, possibly 8 or 9 metres out with the Lasswade 22. Really is a blustery here today, as it often is. Peebles with the wind at their backs. We'll come to Scott in just a second for his thoughts on just how much of a kind of points advantage this win might be, but Peebles have taken the scrum, and there's a half break on here by James Hodgkiss, the youngster, up from the Colts this season, and Peebles are up into the 22 now. First carry of the day there for John Napier. Harrison's at the base to Wolfenden, another youngster in the ranks. It's the captain, Murdo Anderson, the latest to truck it up, but the referee's going to bring them back for the first penalty of the afternoon, Scott. And good start by Peebles. And I was going to ask you there, you've coached at the highest level of the club game and captain teams. How much of a wind is this? Is it a 15-point wind? Is it a 20-point wind?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as a captain, as a coach, is when you're talking these sort of things through, you would expect to take the elements in some instances. When you're away from home, you expect to take the element, and then if the wind dies down later on, like what it's supposed to, then obviously. But then you think, and a classic example of that just now at the minute is Ross Wolfenden's going for the 3 points. You take every opportunity today to gather points.
Yeah,
when you're playing with the wind.
Absolutely, it's a 9-6 kind of day today, so you take what's on offer. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a good start for Peebles. Hodgkiss carried the ball really well there and set up a good platform there, and already Peebles were going through multi phases, which is a great start for them.
And the kick is good by young Wolfenden, so first blood to Peebles, little more than a couple of minutes on the clock. It's Lasswade 0, Peebles 3, and just what Graham Patterson and the coaching staff would have wanted, Scott, no doubt.
Yeah, they'll be delighted, and it's Lasswade are going to kick off again, so it'll be really important to secure this kick off there and find yourself back down the other end of the field again.
And kick off, taking no chances with it not going to any. You can see there just how much the ball was held up in the wind. It was taken in by the captain, Murdo Anderson. Decent carry. First carry now for Ross Brown, played for Peebles for over 10 years, the veteran, and that's a knock on at the base by Jack Harrison. It was good harrying by his opposite number, Cammy Catrall. And Scott, that just decent riposte from Lasswade. It'll just give them an opportunity to feel their way into things now.
Yeah, there's a good couple of tackles in there, good physicality by Ross Brown, carrying ball, and that's what's got to be needed this afternoon. We've already talked about Lasswade having a mature and experienced pack, and guys like your Matty Carey and Ross Brown of the world are really going to have to step up to the plate and make sure that the Lasswade pack doesn't bully the Peebles side.
Yeah, a lot of experienced campaigners, you're absolutely right, in the Lasswade ranks, particularly in that pack. And it's a solid enough scrum, but the referee has penalised Lasswade there, which lets Peebles off the hook a wee bit, and it'll give Wolfenden the chance to send this with the wind at his back deep into Lasswade territory. Scott, we spoke off air about sometimes a wind of this nature can, you can overcook it as well.
And you can just see for that kick just now, it's a difference between having a good kick off and it going completely dead. And it'll be interesting to see how young Ross Wolfenden copes with the wind and the different conditions. You're not in the element where you're playing in the 3G today, and all the conditions are hunky-dory for everybody. So, and this is how you learn your rugby career. Your guys like Ross Wolfenden and your Callum McRoberts there in the second row. These young guys that are coming through that are 17-year-old. These are the days where you learn your trade. Yeah, windy conditions, tough place to come. Men's rugby for these youngsters, and provided the kiss of death there, unfortunately, for Ross Wolfenden. He sent it dead. It was left by the Lasswade players, but again, that's good harrowing this time by Jack Harrison, the Peebles scrum half, and it's been dropped in the midfield by Lasswade. And Harrison now has decided to kick, and he's found a decent touch. Now they're going to have a look at where he actually kicked that from, because it's gone into touch. Yeah, it was a really good kick by Harrison there. I think it's just outside the 22, so it'll be a Lasswade throw in. But really good turnover. Any scraps for a ball today, they're really vital and important when you're playing with the wind, that you can win that ball and try and turn them done Lasswade back over again.
Yeah, Matty Carrier was interested. He came over thinking that it was a 50-22, but no, he's handed the ball to his opposite number, the experienced Darren Tiffany. So it's going to be a Lasswade line out. Tricky conditions, of course, for hookers this afternoon, but that's a beauty from Tiffany, right to the middle of the line, taken in securely. And they're going to try and, as you'd expect, rumble this up through the forwards. Carry hard just outside the 22 now, and the referee's got an arm out for what looks like a penalty coming the way of Lasswade. The ball's gone to deck, and yet offside appears to be the call there from Derek Ramsey. So they're not thinking of kicking this for territory here. Lasswade, they're off and running. Ali Lamond, the second row, the latest to carry it up, and then this time it's the blind side, Liam Gregg, one of the two Liams in this Lasswade back row today. Now the effervescent Dale Robertson plays tight head these days, having spent most of his career at number 8. Great servant to this club, the ex-Boroughmuir man as well. Penalty, however, another penalty's been conceded by Peebles, 2 in quick succession. That one's been kicked to touch, and you can see there the impact the wind had on that kick, Scott.
Yeah, I think Lasswade done the right thing there, just to tap and go and try and catch him on the hop. Discipline will be key in this first half for Peebles. The referee seems to like to put his hand up toward penalties rather than let the game flow. So it'll be interesting to see, just to make sure Peebles just take that half step in the offside line.
So right on halfway, the latest Lasswade line out, and again that's really well thrown in by Tiffany, found his man, and again they're going to use the Burley Carriers to try and hit it, and another penalty's been conceded by Peebles, 3 in quick succession. The defence had been solid enough as well, Scott.
No, it was a good enough hit up by Lasswade, and a good defensive set. And listen, Matty Carrier came over the top there, but wouldn't you thought the referee would try and manage it first before he just blew for the penalty straight away?
Yeah, he's taking
no
prisoners. Derek Ramsey, it would seem. And another Tiffany throw in, this time on the Peebles 10 metre line, and again it's been won by Lasswade. Back in the hands of scrum half Cattrall, fired out to Matty Smith, to his second row Stephen Hunter. Pretty evident looking game plan for Lasswade, as you'd expect, playing into the teeth of the gale here. They're going to hit it up through the big runners. Cattrall's at the base, and again it goes to Dale Robertson, and that was a strong carry by him. He's over the gain line. Cattrall at the base again, popped on by Lamond, and they're just starting to inch forward now up to the Peebles 10 metre line. That is good defence by Peebles in the midfield, however, but it's been maintained by Lasswade. This time it's out to the young flanker Liam Jackman, the youngest forward in the experienced Lasswade ranks, you would call them. Going through the phases here, Lasswade, but it's been spilled in the middle by Tiffany, and now Murdo Anderson sees a wee bit of space. He needs a bit of support. Anderson, there's a Lasswade player in over that. It was the blind side, Liam Gregg. Here come Peebles again, and there's a half a break on. They look dangerous, ball in hand, Peebles, but the burly figure of Dale Robertson was over that, and he won the penalty, and he's taken it, and he's taken a couple of Peebles players to haul him down, and there's another penalty coming by the looks of things. So we'll see how this pans out. Liam Gregg again with a carry for Lasswade, and that's another penalty. The shrill of Derek Ramsey's whistle there, and that's 5 in quick succession, Scott.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's now going to have a wee word just now. I actually thought there was a great little half break with David Collins there just now, the Peebles fullback. Created a wee bit of space, but you know what? Today's the day for kicking it down the bottom corners, and let's play the rugby down in their area of the field.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said. You're absolutely right for sending it down the park on a day like this. But yeah, Peebles have shown their intent, as of Lasswade's game plan's pretty clear.
I was just about to say that, Robin. You know, Lasswade have actually played some really good rugby.
Yeah.
You know, and you often find that sometimes when you're playing against the wind, you can't afford to kick it. You just have to keep the ball alive and keep the ball in the hands. And they certainly played. You can see what direction. You can tell their coach with Peter Wright as well. You know, the lineouts are pretty much spot on.
Yeah, and it's another line out for Lasswade. Tiffany's been pretty successful so far, and that's another decent one, and it's back in the hands of the scrum half. He fires it out to the standoff Matty Smith. David Hall, the inside centre, he takes it up in the midfield. Cattrall again, this time it's fired out to Stephen Hunter, the second row, his third or fourth carry so far this afternoon. We're around 9 minutes in. Remains Lasswade 0, Peebles 3, Ross Wolfenden penalty. The only thing separating these two sides at the moment is back in the hands of Dale Robertson. Pick and go, inching up towards the Peebles 22, back in the hands of Smith. Smith's got a runner in the form of Liam Gregg. Liam Gregg, another who's multiple carries already in the first 10-11 minutes. Smith, and that's a outside arc there by Mark Wilson. The outside centre still going. Wilson, now they're in and around the 22. Comfortable for Cattrall at the base, and the latest runner's Jackman, the young flanker. Cattrall again, good maintaining of possession by Lasswade, but solid enough defence for Peebles as it stands. Lasswade, as a reminder, are playing into a strong wind here, and there's a break on the far side by the second row, Ali Lamond. The second rows for Lasswade have been busy so far this afternoon. Smith again, and he's another second row, Stephen Hunter, and they're now about 10-12 metres potentially from the Peebles try line. Bit of dancing feet in there by Smith, the standoff, and brings his winger into play, and there's a break on the far side by Lasswade. The winger was Grant Innes with the assist, and we're just trying to see who the try scorer was. It's one of the Lasswade props.
I think it was the captain, Graham Cook.
Yeah, you're right, Scott. Graham Cook is the first to cross over the whitewash this afternoon, and brilliant play by Lasswade.
Yeah, and you have to say that there must have been 15 to 18 phases of play there, going through the hands. I thought there was some excellent defence for a section there by the Peebles back row. Finlay Collins especially made an excellent tackle across that far side, but Lasswade just kept recycling play, and this is what the wind, playing against the wind, does to some teams sometimes. You just have to, you've got no other option other than just playing rugby, and fair play to Lasswade. They'll be absolutely delighted with that score. I don't fancy the kicker's chances though.
I was literally going to ask you for odds on this one. It's a touchline conversion over on the far side here from our vantage point, right into the teeth of the gale. Long odds will be had on this one as he begins the run up. Tell you what, he struck it well enough, but no, the wind just got hold of it. He tried to drive it under the wind, the old stinger style in golfing parlance, but to no avail because the wind was just too strong.
And a couple of points maybe for Peebles to be concerned about, the ball carrying of the Lasswade Park, and the two centres for Lasswade look very strong.
Yeah.
Especially 13, Mark Wilson. He looks as if he's a good player.
So Peebles about to kick off. Jack Harrison, the scrum half with number 20 on his back, and that's been allowed to bounce, and it's well gathered in there by the number 8, Blair Smith. Another big, strong lad in the Lasswade ranks. You can hear the gusting wind through the microphone, no doubt. That's what these teams are up against today. Latest pick and go by Liam Jackman. He's been busy so far, one of many Lasswade forwards doing the donkey work at the moment, and again they've maintained possession 3 or 4 phases since the try. Latest player to go to ground there, David Hall, the inside centre. Now it's in the hands of the try scorer and captain Graham Cook. Captain Cook, he feeds it to Tiffany. It's gone to ground, but it's gone backwards. In fact, it's been knocked on by a Peebles player, so Lasswade playing with advantage, and that's another bump off and good carry by the ever busy Liam Gregg. He can also play tight head prop. Liam Gregg. Now it's Dale Robertson fancying a rumble up this near side right in front of the stand, and again more workmanlike stuff by Stephen Hunter, and there's a bit of space opening up here. Lasswade happy to keep it in hand. Lewis Clark, he had no thought of kicking it. Maybe on another day it would have went down the park, but alas nay. And again, Blair Smith, the number 8, the latest to carry. They're up to about the halfway line here, and that's a decent carry. Possible high tackle. Yeah, the referee's got the hand out. High tackle by Peebles. 6th penalty conceded by Peebles, and in around 14 minutes, so discipline a problem as it stands at the moment. And again, the referee Derek Ramsey's going to have a chat with Murdo Anderson, the Peebles captain.
We're almost just a wee bit too polite in defence defensive opportunities for Peebles just now. You can see the tackle are almost on the Lasswade terms at the moment, you know, so we're falling back as we're taking the tackle rather than making those positive tackles. And it's certainly something, you know, there doesn't seem to be any space out there. So it's just about getting that tackle right and try and get that positive tackle and give the guys a chance to jackal on the top of that.
And in all of that, there's been a yellow card for the tackler. Rowan McKeever is going to take 10 in the cooler, and the penalty's been kicked to touch. So Lasswade with a 2-point advantage, 5 points to 3 here, but they're also a man advantage for 10 minutes, and Tiffany's going to throw it in to the line out, and again he's found his man in the middle. It's been a great display of throwing by the Lasswade hookers so far in treacherous throwing in conditions. Pick and go up to the 22 now. Lasswade, they look bang up for this afternoon, you have to say. Their chance of the title and promotion probably hinges on this game, if we're being honest. Matty Carrier in there with the tackle for Peebles. Smith goes out to his centre. David Hall, who tipped it onto nobody, but there's been space opened up here, and the pass goes a begging for Lasswade. That was a chance. Kieran Lamont, the winger on the far side, the pass didn't go to hand, and now Lasswade have dived in and conceded a penalty. And Scott, that's a wee bit of a let-off for Peebles.
Yeah, I actually thought the yellow card was a bit soft, but you know, there was a number of penalties there that the referee felt. And it was a great pick up by the Lasswade fullback Lewis Clark there, and you know that was a scoring chance there, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
And just when you look round, there's a big crowd here this afternoon watching this game. You know the stand's packed.
Yeah.
So you know, I think the spectators know what's at stake this afternoon as well.
Yeah, good setup here at Lasswade, and Scott's right, decent sized crowd for this top of the table occasion. Ross Wolfenden has kicked the penalty with the wind at his back down to halfway. So Matty Carrier, now it has been caught in the wind, and it's ended up on the Lasswade side. The wind clearly caught that. Carrier, he tried to bullet it, but the wind still played its part. So now Lasswade pick and go again through the forwards. It's been an effective tactic for them so far in the first 16 minutes, and now they're up and over the halfway line. Peebles maybe just a wee bit passive in defence at the moment, and another Lasswade player quite comfortably breaks the gain line. That was the blindside Liam Gregg, and now it's Liam Jackaman, and now it's Liam Gregg again. The Liam's in harness here. Now the scrum half's up and into 22. The crowd are livened up by that one, but again a Lasswade players dived right over the top. I think that was possibly Dale.
There's a yellow card.
Robertson,
every day of the week.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree, and I think it's left its mark on the Peebles player as well.
No arms, clear wipe out, shoulder or head to head.
Now Dale Robertson's going to get talking to here. The captain Graham Cook is in the tete-a-tete, and it's a red card. A red card has been issued to the veteran Dale Robertson, one of the talisman, and Scott, you called it.
Yeah, it was quite clear and obvious, to be fair to him. I know Dale will be really disappointed, as will Lasswade, because they really had Peebles under the cosh there, you know. But that's got to change the momentum of the game. You can see Dale's a strong player for them.
Yeah, the player coach, ex-captain, here and off down the tunnel, he trots, and he's got a face like thunder as well, Dale Robertson. So uphill battle for Lasswade now in this vital encounter. They are going to spend the rest of this game with 14 men. Peebles, of course, with 14 at the moment. The blindside flanker Rowan McKeever is in the bin, and Scott, it was fairly passive defence in that, but in that passage of play by Peebles, and it was
a couple of really good breaks by the Lasswade players. A scrum half took the ball into contact there, just short of the line. But I was quite impressed with the referee, to be honest with you, because there was a situation where he could have took the easy option and gave the yellow card, but he obviously seen it himself fairly quickly, and he made the right decision as far as I was concerned.
Now, Matty Carrier, and there's a bit of space opened up here for the winger, Jordan Charters, the ex-long jumper, but he's been well pleased and he's ended up in touch. Big cheers from the fairly partisan home crowd here.
Yeah, a good tackle by Liam Jackson, the Lasswade 7. Yeah, he seems to be a good young player, this guy.
I was just going to say that, Scott. I've been impressed by him. Peter Wright. Now the referee,
I have no idea.
The referee has literally sprinted off the field of play. So we don't know what's happened there.
But no, listen, excellent standard and start to the game for both sides. Though what I've been really impressed with, Robin, they're it's a good standard of rugby. If you compare the game to last week, the Premier Division game with Celtic and Kelso, I would say there's probably more rugby being played at the moment.
As the referee rejoins us. Comfort break, Scott?
I have no idea. Maybe we'll find out later on.
Well, the ironic cheers will tell you that he's back on the field of play, and it's going to be a line out for Lasswade, a facet of the game that's functioned really well, surprisingly so given the conditions. The throwing in from Tiffany's been first class. He's gone safe to the front to the young flanker Jackaman, who took it in cleanly. So a man down, Lasswade, they hit it up through Blair Smith. Forwards getting through a power of work at the moment for the home side, the men in black. Cattrall's at the base, and that's been dropped on. Wolfenden's on it. Wolfenden comes inside to Carrier. Carrier goes to ground. Peebles now are going to have possession, but no, it's been counter-rucked by Lasswade, and that's good stuff. Desperate play there by the home forwards, and again just a wee bit lacklustre by Peebles. Jack Harrison went in to play it, but he didn't have much by way of protection. Driven off the ball. Now Lasswade, as the wind, if anything, picks up. It had been forecast to drop a wee bit, but it's certainly not happening at the moment. Decent play by Lasswade, and now it's got a chance for the winger to have a run, but he's dropped it. That was Grant Innes, and now it's back in the hands of David Collins, the Peebles fullback, and he dances his way infield. Now it's the scrum half, Jack Harrison. Harrison, the pass goes to ground, didn't go forward though, much to the chagrin of the home support. They thought there was a little bit of a knock on there, but Peebles now through Ross Brown, he picks and goes. Jack Harrison thought he'd seen a bit of space, and there's a Lasswade player on the wrong side there yet. Ali Lamond got himself trapped in there, didn't manage to roll away, so Peebles have got a penalty now. That's 5 by my count conceded by Lasswade. This penalty's 15 metres in from the stand side here, possibly 35 metres from the post.
And a difficult kick this actually, to be fair, because it's really hard to get ball placement onto that foot. Ross had done well there.
Yeah, so Wolfenden's kicked it towards touch. It's gone into touch just inside the Lasswade 22, so it'll be a Matty Carrier throw in and a decent attacking platform from Peebles rather to operate. Carrier on the 22, plays safe, goes to the front. Oh, but it's not gone 5. So they're going to come back in. That's going to be a scrum to Lasswade, and a wee bit of a let off there. Just the basics from Peebles.
Okay, I'll jump in here with some latest scores for you in the Premiership. It's Curry 7, Glasgow Hawks 0. That's a Stuart try there, and also Kelso 17, Mar 0.
My word, quite the scoreline early in the piece at Pointer there.
What a fantastic scoreline that is.
Yeah, as you rejoin us here with Lasswade in possession and a wee bit of space again on that far side for the winger Kieran Lamont, who's looked pretty dangerous ball in hand so far in the first half. Passing out the line here at Lasswade and making a pretty good job of it. Cook, but it's gone back, and there's a chance here for Wolfenden, and Wolfenden's hacked it forward. Grant Innes had to go back, and Wolfenden's over him, and Wolfenden picks it up. Oh, but it's been knocked on by, I think it's been knocked on by Innes. Wolfenden was all over it.
Yeah, there's a lack of advantage there if it was knocked on by Lasswade, because Ross Wolfenden was stretching for the corner there for the try line. Good harrying, but once again excellent play from Lasswade.
Yeah,
they're really moving the ball about. You've got a growling bear and Peter Wright there with the beard shouting odds at both sets of players. Trying to dictate things down there on the touchline side. Yeah,
highly experienced coach Peter Wright, one of the Scottish Games great characters. As a substitution is being made here for Lasswade. Looks like Russell Gladstone, the substitute scrum half's coming on. So this though is a Peebles scrum, 5 metres from the Lasswade line, 15 metres in from the stand side, and it's fed by Harrison. Pick and go by Finlay Collins, but he's been dragged to ground. Good defence by Lasswade. So Harrison's at the base of the resulting ruck, and it's Ross Brown. Ross Brown's got 6 tries to his name so far this season. And now it's Matty Carrier, a man with 10 tries to his name, as he inches up towards the line. Harrison at the base again. He's got forward coming in. It was Murdo Anderson, but that's been knocked forward in the attempt to catch it by Anderson. And again, Scott Lasswade just let off the hook by Peebles' inaccuracy.
Yeah, we talk about positive tackles there, and there was a great tackle by Liam Gregg, the Lasswade number 6 there. A good positive tackle there, released knocked the ball on for Peebles, and in a position where Peebles have got themselves directly right under the post there with 5 metres out, which is a great attacking position, and they'll be disappointed. But it's all about now keeping Lasswade down inside that 22, and making sure they don't come out of there. It's not an easy task. They can't use the kicking of the boot.
That's right, and it's been picked up at the base of the Lasswade scrum by Gregg. So it's out now to the second row. Hunter content to stick it up the jumper, so close to their own line, but they're going to get a let off here because a penalty's been conceded by Peebles. So Lasswade will get a chance to clear the lines. And again, just cheap, Scott, just cheap by Peebles there.
Yeah, I make that 14 penalties. 14 penalties in this half of the game is a lot of penalties for a referee.
Yeah,
I would really like, and I get it early doors, but as the game goes on, you need to try and manage those penalties out the game if you can, and try and let the game flow, because it's certainly got potential to flow.
Yeah,
both teams are looking to try and play the game.
They are both trying to play a bit of rugby in the strong wind, but Peebles now are in possession, and that's gone forward. The penalty was kicked to touch, it didn't make touch by Lasswade, so Peebles had a chance to run it back, but a penalty, yet another penalty's been. And
I would actually seriously consider kicking those points today if they can. Any opportunity, that'll fly over the post. Ross Wolfenden's got a really good kick on him, and sometimes the kicks into the corner with the wind, maybe somebody doesn't help. Because it's that strong, the wind,
Yeah, and he
has kicked it in the corner.
He's kicked it towards, but what he did, he undercooked the kick.
Yeah, you don't get the accuracy. Yeah. You see, you don't get the accuracy there, and for all the time we've been camped out here in the Lasswade half, I would have went for the post.
Yeah, 27 minutes gone. It remains Lasswade 5, Peebles 3. Peebles playing with a very strong wind at their backs, however, and Lasswade down to 14 men. Peebles incidentally are back to 15. Rowan McKeever's back on the field, but another penalty conceded, this time by Peebles at the line out. And they really are racking it, and it's the game was starting to get a bit of a flow about it, Scott, but the flow's gone for the time being at least.
Yeah, and that's just it's down to the referee at the present there, and just trying to, I would, as a referee, try and manage those penalties out of the game. You have to set your stall out early doors, but then as the game goes on, you try and speak to the players and try and get them to roll away. So you're almost talking to them through the game. And but the crowd will get frustrated as well. The players will get frustrated if he keeps banging his left or right arm up all the time for penalties.
Yeah, and it went to touch, but they've lost the line out. Lasswade, so now Peebles have it through Wolfenden. Wolfenden goes to ground, and Harrison goes to Ross Brown. Ross Brown tried to tip it on. Now there was a hand in there by young Jackaman. Was it an attempt to play at it? I've seen penalties given for that, Scott. But
yeah, I've seen one last night. I don't think it was, to be fair. I think it kind of hit off his shoulder rather than trying to play it with his hand. It's another Peebles ball inside the 10 metre line, and another opportunity for Peebles to attack though.
Yeah, it's been all Peebles, you have to say, since the sending off of Dale Robertson, but they've not troubled the scoreboard in that period. Combination of resolute Lasswade defence and Peebles errors. They've let Lasswade off the hook one time in particular when really they should have scored from the position that they were in, but they've got a scrum here at centre field. It's just inside the Lasswade 10 metre line, so the front row's just about to engage.
Yeah, and you can see that Peebles almost look two phases of play here. Two lines of attack they're looking for there. They possibly could hit up with Hodgson's off the base of the scrum, and then look to hook out the back door with Ross Wolfenden, and have some runners like Collins at 15.
Yeah.
To try and find a wee bit of space outside that Lasswade 13.
Quick latest scores for you. Curry 7, Glasgow Hawks 7, Kelso 17, Mar 7 in the Premiership. It's gone half time at Marside in National 1, Watsonians 22, GHA 14. In National 2 it's Aberdeen Grammar 22, Kirkcaldy 22, Falkirk 7, Gordonians 0, and Newton Stewart 0, Berwick 15.
Good scrum by Peebles. Now there's a wrap, exactly as Scott predicted. There's a wraparound on there. It's gone to ground. Now they've got a runner, Murdo Anderson, leading by example, trying to get going forward. Anderson, they're about 5 metres shy of the 22. Carrier is the latest to trundle it. Harrison again, looking for his runners, looking for options. Finds one in the shape of Rowan McKeever, the blindside flanker. And there's hands in there by Lasswade, illegally so, however, says Derek Ramsey. So it's another Peebles penalty. It's just outside the 22, maybe 5 metres in from touch. Derek Ramsey's going to have a chat with the captain, Graham Cook, here.
Yeah, some good carries by Peebles though, coming round the corner. Obviously Matty Carrier's kind of off that second phase ball. McKeever's carrying well as well. And Ross Brown, they've got some hungry, desired players there ready to carry a ball. They just don't seem to be making those inroads like what Lasswade were doing, certainly when they're attacking.
Yeah, it's been kicked to touch by Wolfenden. It's going to be a Peebles line out. Line out's a wee bit of a lottery so far for the men in red and white, but that one's been taken cleanly and it'll give them the opportunity to drive. Matty Carrier's got his hands on the ball, and if this can start moving forward, then it's Carrier's MO, but it's kind of become a wee bit static there and it's been knocked on. There was a Lasswade hand in there, but it's been knocked on by Jack Harrison. It therefore remains Lasswade 5, Peebles 3.
Yeah.
And it is Stuart Cameron predicted on the preview show that this could be one for the purest Scotland. So far he's been proven to be right.
Yeah, it just seemed like Peebles weren't very sure what to do, whether they were going to drive that line out there or whether they were going to release it to the backs, and they eventually got stuck in the back of that line out, so that'll be frustrating for the Peebles supporters and for Graham Patterson, the head coach.
Yeah, they had plenty of possession, ample territory since the sending off. Lasswade have won their own scrum there, and there's a decent carry there by Mark Wilson, who Scott mentioned earlier has been pretty impressive so far with the ball that he's had. So reverting to type, Lasswade, and why not, it served him pretty well so far in this game. That was a carry by Ali Lamond. Now there's another one by his second row partner Stephen Hunter. That pair have worked well in tandem so far this afternoon. Little ball inside to Kieran Lamont, the winger, coming in looking for work, always good to see. Now there's another carry there for Liam Gregg, not making too much headway though, and he's
a penalty.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a second bite. He's had a bit of a roll there, Scott. So that's going to be a
I'll take the points.
Yeah, it's going to be certainly a kickable penalty for Wolfenden. Bang in front, just outside the 22. Doesn't look overly convinced, but no, he's told the referee, Derek Ramsey, that he's going to have a crack. The signal has been given, and yeah, you've been calling for it, Scott. Take the points.
Yeah, I would. I think there's been 3 or 4 opportunities now where you realise that kicking to touch is, unless you're a kicker, you think it's really easy to kick to touch, and it's not when it's windy, because the placement of the ball can go anywhere, and you lose that direction and that accuracy. So for me, it's the right call now. Get some points on the board, because looking at it just now, it's about a 10-point game, I would reckon, that wind at present. So, the more points that Peebles can get on the board before half time is really important.
Yeah, and you'd imagine Lasswade, a man down in that second half, would kick the leather off it, but here comes Wolfenden. Struck it well, through she goes. So, second successful penalty for Ross Wolfenden. That takes the scoreline to Lasswade 5, Peebles 6, and the most slender leads, given they've got such a strong wind at their back.
Yeah, but very, very, very important in a game like today. There's a lot at stake, to be fair. You can see that with the crowd that's shouting here, and the support that Peebles got when they came back onto their side of the field again. I think everybody understands the importance of this game, both for Lasswade to try and keep this all within the league, and Peebles to try and give this all a wee bit stretch in the league.
So around 6 minutes to go now. No shock that will be to anybody to hear on a day like this that a kick, a restart has not gone 10.
Yeah, to be fair, you know, so long as it goes past that 10 metre line and the wind blows it back, it's still accounted as right. I think the referee in that case got it correct.
Yeah, so going to be a Peebles scrum, bang, centre field. So more possession for the men from the Guides. They've had it all almost exclusively since the sending off of Dale Robertson, the Lasswade tight head prop, if you're just joining us. Contact with the head as he cleared a ruck, or attempted to clear a ruck, after good work by Lasswade. They were in a prominent attacking position. So the Peebles scrum it's inching forward now. They're minus a tight head. Lasswade, and the scrum penalty conceded. That's Lasswade into double figures now by my count on the penalty. On the penalty count, Scott, and he's going to have to probably think about another card sooner or later, you would have thought.
Yeah, and you know that the wind's picked up again.
Yeah, it has.
I wouldn't hesitate at all to have a crack. Well, that kick. He has. He has actually. He's just the referee's just acknowledged that he's got to have a goal, and quite right too, because then it keeps him back down the other end of the field. And Ross is more than capable. He's got an accurate boot on him as well, so he's more than capable of having a bit of pop here, and the wind hopefully will carry it over. Yeah, so it's going to be. He's maybe less. He's less than a metre shy of halfway. Ross Wolfenden. Scott Tomlinson called it. Have a crack from here with the wind at your back. That's exactly what he's going to do. Peter Wright's on the park, having a chat with one of his players, giving instruction in his own inimitable style. So Wolfenden sizing this one up. We've seen them kicked from here on a day like this, towards the posts, right through the posts. Penalty kicked from halfway, and all of a sudden it's out to Lasswade 5, Peebles 9, and yeah, Scott, good call. It shows you how windy it is, because it was like a fluffed forward, wasn't it? It was. But it just kept pounding its way over. It probably hit Bunny Rigarosa there, over in the 3G pitch across. The football is happening, and it did. It wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing you'll ever see, but on a day like this, they all count, absolutely. And that's a better kick-off. He's gone for the grubber that time, but it's been taken in by Peebles' player and fed to Carrier, and Carrier, it takes a couple of Lasswade men to pull him down. That was a loose pass, but again the wind got hold of the pass, and Rowan McKeever tidies up. He's hit hard on the contact. McKeever sets it up though. Harrison at the base to Wolfenden. Wolfenden's put that into the sky, and there's Peebles players in there. It's been gathered in brilliantly. I think that was by James Dow. Lasswade have got a man over that though, but it's going to come back on the Peebles side. So Peebles in the Lasswade half now, and it's back with Carrier. Carrier out the back to Wolfenden. Wolfenden tips it on. Good play by the youngster. Now it's in the hands of Jordan Charters. Jordan Charters comes in field, and he is the latest to fire on to John Gray. Harrison. Murdo Anderson. He's carried hard when he's had the ball this afternoon. Anderson. Wolfenden. Peebles now starting to go through the phases. David Collins. It's somehow managed to find its way into the hands of Neil Pate, but he's been bundled into touch, and Peebles just starting to play with a wee bit of adventure here. No, good play by Peebles. You know, every time Wolfenden gets on the ball and creates that little overlap with the hook out the back door, they seem to be getting somewhere. You know, he's a clever little rugby player for someone that can carry a ball in two hands and create space, probably not for himself but for somebody else, and you can just see that starting to work. And good carry by James Dow there as well, and in good strength by Jordan Charters up that wing channel. Yeah, always the mark of a decent player for me, the running with the ball in two hands, and that's exactly what Wolfenden brings. It just keeps the defence honest. But we've got a line out right on the 22, their own 22, Lasswade, and as he's been all game, right on the money. Darren Tiffany, been really impressed by his throwing in this afternoon. And again, the workhorse that is Stephen Hunter gets through his umpteenth carry, and there's a penalty coming the way of Lasswade. So again, the Peebles attack's going to come to nothing for the time being, playing with a free ball here. Lasswade, it's been dropped by the substitute Buster Davidson, so they're going to go back for... What a great name, Buster Davidson, Robin?
Oh yeah, I in fact I beg your pardon, it was Russell Gladstone.
Just want to get that name in.
Yeah. And again, another carry by Liam Gregg. And there's a huge hit in there. What a hit that is on the inside or the outside centre, Mark Wilson. That's the biggest tackle of the game so far. Now, as the referee's got an arm out, that looked perfectly legal to me.
That's the biggest tackle I've seen all season by Matty Carrier. It was absolutely superb hit.
Yeah, and he's done really well.
The only thing you can pick him up for is for being offside, possibly, but it was a brilliant tackle.
Yeah, there's a penalty coming, regardless, for Lasswade. But yeah, my word, he cut his man in half there. Matty Carrier, he's got winners' medals in his cabinet, of course, at his time at Hawick, and he's looking for another one back at his hometown club. But they're coming back for the penalty.
Because Mark Wilson's a big lad as well. You know, Matty Carrier absolutely destroyed him in that tackle there.
Yeah, and he did signal Derek Ramsey, the referee, that it was high. So he's going to have a word with Murdo Anderson. But yeah, the penalty's all that's been awarded. Last season, Scott, that would have been absolutely fine. But
really impressed with Lasswade in the first half though against that wind.
Yeah, very impressive stuff. They've played well. They've been down to 14 men for much of it as Derek Ramsey, the referee, brings the half to a close. And Scott, it's still a difficult one to call. It's obviously Peebles go down the tunnel 9-5 to the good, and they're a man to the good, but they're going to have to play into the teeth of this gale in the second half.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, you know. And maybe that's what that tackle was all about with Matty Carrier, just proving a point. When they come out at the start of the second half, they're going to have to work really hard as a Park division, but also as a team, to try and attack against that wind. It's going to take a lot of nous and a lot of really hard graft. They've got a carrot at the end of it, top of the league, and hopefully be promoted by the end of the season. And it all comes down to this second half.
It does indeed. Blowing a gale here in Lasswade. It's half time. Lasswade 5, Peebles 9.
Thank you to Scott Tomlinson and to Robin Purdie, battling against the elements themselves up here. It is pretty windy. It usually is at Lasswade, but particularly windy for today. How about this in the Premiership? Kelso 31, Mar 7, and Curry 7, Glasgow Hawks 12. That's the latest scores in the 2 o'clock matches in the Premiership. Don't forget, no game for Hawick or Inverrackies today. And coming up at 3 o'clock, it'll be Jed Forest against Heriots Blues and Musselburgh versus Selkirk. In National 1, Watsonians 22, GHA 14, and in National 2, Aberdeen Grammar 22, Kirkcaldy 29. Kirkcaldy getting the try bonus in the bag already. They're in the second half of that one. That one kicked up at 1:30. Falkirk 7, Gordonians 7 is a latest score. Connor Falls scoring the first try for Falkirk. Lasswade 5, Peebles 9, if you've just joined us here at the very gusty Lasswade ground. Newton Stewart 10, Berwick 15. Now Berwick were 15-0 ahead in there, including a try for the birthday boy today, Ali Grieve, but Drew Fisher has just got one back for Newton Stewart. Don't forget, Newton Stewart last week went to Rubislaw and actually lost and came away with no points, so they're desperate for a win today to keep their campaign almost back on track again. In National 3, Hamilton 5, West of Scotland 14. Don't forget, Hamilton in the basement position at the moment, and of course they haven't won this season either. And another latest score we have, Hillhead Jordan Hill 3, it's Orkney 10.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio. If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Yes, welcome back to the very gusty Hawthornden, and Lasswade 5, Peebles 9 is the score. Peebles playing into the wind in this second half, and of course in National 2 they only have a 5-minute break, so we're going to go straight back to Robin Purdie and Scott Tomlinson for the start of the second half with Lasswade to kick off.
Thank you, Stuart. It's going to be Matty Smith, the standoff to kick off. He's given his forwards a chance for that one, but it's been taken in by Murdo Anderson, so different feel about this game for Peebles now, playing into the very strong wind. They signal their intention with a Ross Brown carry. Speaking of carrying, it's Carrier with the latest carry for Peebles. Now it's Wolfenden. Wolfenden has a little bit of a crack himself, but he's hit hard in the tackle, but he's managed to set it up. Harrison feeds it out to this young second row, Callum McRobert, and he has held onto the ball a fraction too long, so Scott, true to form, a penalty's been conceded.
Yeah, 18 penalties. We made 18 penalties in the first half that the referee had given to both teams, so he's not got to be short and blowing his whistle as quickly as possible. And true to form with us Lasswade, when they're playing with the wind, they'll take the points at every opportunity, so they're going for a kick a goal. Just as we said, just as coming off from the first half, it's a massive second half for Peebles. They're without a doubt a lighter pack than what Lasswade are, and then there's got to be some real hard graft needed in this second half, and that was an example of that just now. Peebles carried the ball there and just lacked a wee bit of support at contact area, and Lasswade were all over it.
So it's going to be a crack at the posts straight away in this second half for Matty Smith. He knows this place well, of course, knows every inch as he begins his run up. Struck it well, but no, it's drifted past the upright, so that's a real missed opportunity for Lasswade and a real let off, Scott, for the men from the Gates.
Yeah, Peter Wright and men will be disappointed in that, but at the same time it keeps Lasswade down inside Peebles 22, exactly where Peebles don't want to be perfectly honest, and it's got to take a long hard shift to get back up the field again.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, today if the man advantage for Peebles is counting for all that much, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you, and time will tell whether it does make a difference, and certainly in Lasswade's point of view, they've lost an excellent player in Dale Robertson.
That was the banana 22 dropout. The wind got hold of it and kind of worked well for Peebles because it drifted right into the arms of their winger Jordan Charters, but he's been...
Jordan's played well in that first half. He looks very strong on the wing there, and I actually quite like to see him coming in off his wing and carrying some ball in the second half and helping the forwards.
Yeah, you feel they're going to need all the help they can get into this wind, and against what to the naked eye looks to be a bigger pack. Tiffany, great throw in again given the conditions, and it's been taken in by Russell Gladstone. So here come Lasswade again. You get the feeling that this could be the story of the second half. Tiffany's at the base of that one, playing scrum half to Smith, to David Hall, and there's a wee bit of space open up. It's gone forward, and yet Peebles will take that all day long. So.
Yeah, you're right, because you know what, that was a really good, clever piece of play there just now. And Lasswade back division look very strong, don't they?
Yeah.
A good carry by their number 8, and then they got a good hook out the back door, and it was just unfortunate that the winger Grant Ennis just dropped the ball just as he was ready to pass on.
So substitutes on for Lasswade. Paul Wilson, the hooker. He packs down in the middle of the front row in a scrum that's going to take place 10 metres maybe inside the Peebles 10 metre line. Solid scrum by the Peas, and they're just starting to march it forward a wee bit. It's caught at the back, the number 8 Finlay Collins, but he's managed to get the ball back. So Harrison is here. Harrison goes to Brown, but Brown's hit. He does well to keep the legs pumping. Ross Brown, because he was hit hard and hit behind the gain line at that. Harrison to Carrier. You feel he's going to need to be a big presence in this second half. Harrison again. Harrison sees a wee bit of space, half a gap, goes to ground. Thought about the offload to his captain Murdo Anderson, but thought better of it, and that's a smart move on a day like this. Looked a wee shade forward at the tip on pass from Wolfenden to Brown, but nothing doing. Just going through a few phases here, Peebles, and captain's knock once again by Anderson. He's not been shying away from work, and a penalty conceded this time by Lasswade. Lets Peebles off the hook a wee bit. Peebles, of course, playing with an extra man. Dale Robertson, the talismanic.
And what comes with experience with Lasswade is when you make a big tackle and the concede the penalty is not to roll away for the ball, and so therefore the referee can't let the quick tap penalty go for Peebles. You know, it was a great tackle with David Hall, but he didn't roll away for the ball. And Peebles need to understand they need to keep the momentum high and try and create these quick tap penalties and goals.
And that's exactly what they did there. Rather than go to the touchline into the wind, Harrison tapped and went. Now they're going through the phases. Long pass out there, accurate pass as well in the conditions. Jordan Charters comes back in field. Substitute is on for Peebles as well, and there's another penalty coming the way of Peebles. Comes a little dainty pass back inside by Harrison. He knew the penalty was coming, to be fair. Knew he was playing with a free ball. Now the referee, Derek Ramsey's going to come and have a chat with Graham Cook, the captain of Lasswade, and you fancy that under the totting up process.
Well, he's had 2 chats with him
now.
Yeah.
And you have to think that sooner or later a card is going to come out which would send the home team down to 13 men.
If you can imagine that first half period where every penalty that was taken, Lasswade were allowing the quick tap penalty and go, and that referee's not let that happen in the start of the second half.
So Peebles,
good feet,
for a big man is the cliche, and that was Matty Carrier, a few bigger. Harrison again to Anderson. That's a combination that we've seen a few times now in this second half. Impressive performance by the captain so far this afternoon. Now here they come again, fellow back rower Rowan McKeever. He comes back in field, but it's been spilled by McKeever, and now that gives Lasswade the chance to break, but it's been knocked forward by them, so they're going to go back to the knock-on, the original knock-on by Peebles. And
it wasn't a knock-on, it was ripped out the grasp by Liam Gregg, the number 6, who's slowly, really, obviously an experienced player, but he's playing really, really well and causing a lot of damage in that kind of nitty-gritty area.
Yeah, been very impressed by both the Liams in the back row, but it would appear actually, now that I say that, I don't see Liam Jackman out there. Is he potentially being sacrificed for the front row, Scott?
I think he was struggling, to be fair, and here's another injury as well. I think it's Stephen Hunter that's struggling with his knee, so they're slowly but surely losing some of the more experienced players.
Yeah, that's a shame for Hunter, because he's gone well this afternoon. He's been impressive, and on comes another.
Well, they're no lacking in physicality.
I was going to say, Scott, another reasonable sized unit in the shape of Richard Borthwick enters the fray. Don't know what they put in the water here in Lasswade, Bonnyrigg area.
That multi-phase player that Peebles are playing now are just starting to pay dividends. If they can there's just a wee bit lack of understanding, but certainly around those 15-metre channel areas, there's more and more space happening, where those experienced elder statesmen in the Lasswade team are just struggling to get to the breakdown.
They are. It's going to always take its toll on a day like this. They put in some shift into the wind in the first half, and now it's Ali Lamond again. Numerous carries for him this afternoon. He's been very busy, and that's the first touch of the ball for the substitute Richard Borthwick. Another substitute, Gladstone in possession now. Matty Carrier's in. He's stolen the ball. The referee is going to bring them back for a Peebles penalty. Now that was going to be an interesting situation if Matty Carrier in the open prairie. Do you fancy anybody to catch him from there?
No, Matty's really leading for the front, isn't he?
He very much is.
He's a really good. I mean, he's always been a really good captain, you know. But I have no idea what that's for.
Offside. Right. Offside. It looks like the call. So Matty Carrier's been sent to the.
Well, we're sitting exactly where it was there. It looked perfectly legal from my point of view.
Yeah, that's a blow for Peebles, and it's down to 14 men apiece for the next 10 minutes. And it's the two talismanic front rowers that are off the field of play at the moment. Dale Robertson sent off in the first half. Matty Carrier now in the bin, and after all of that, Matty Smith has sent the resulting penalty to not that far from the Peebles 22. So Peebles got a wee bit of a defensive shift to do here against the bigger pack. It remains Lasswade 5, Peebles 9. Around 9 minutes gone in this second half, and again they've won the line out, or they've won it in a fashion anyway. Ross Brown gobbled up his man at the back of the line out, but it's come back on the Lasswade side, and again another strong carry by the outside centre Mark Wilson, another player who's been busy this afternoon. That didn't go forward.
It was stripped out the tackle by Ross Brown, I think so.
Yeah,
got away with that one.
So Lasswade again, and they're now up and into the 22. These big forwards doing the donkey work as they have since the get-go, and a man pirouettes out the tackle there and makes another metre or two, and there's another substitute there. This time it's James Elliott on for Lasswade. Wolfenden's in there trying to rip the ball out. Now it's Tiffany, now it's Lamont, and there's a dummy and go there, and he's in here. The captain Graham Cook has scored for Lasswade. An all-round, Scott, that's a great try.
Yeah, and listen, I've been mightily impressed with the captain, Graham Cook. He carried the ball in two hands, and he just lifted his head up there and realised there was half a gap there. He gave it a wee dummy, and he was through the hole, and then no more than is deserved. And honestly, pretty disappointing that Matty Carrier was given those 10 minutes with the yellow card, and Lasswade went down the other end of the field and picked up 5 points at present. And 5 points when Peebles are playing against this wind, there's got to be a big turnaround in the second half for them.
Oh, definitely. 10 points to 9 now in favour of the home team. Second try of the afternoon for Graham Cook, and they've not been what you'd call typical prop tries. They've been good finishes, good bit of rugby nous by the experienced captain as we await the conversion here by Matty Smith. He'll be looking to cut this one round into the breeze. Set it out, and it's hit the post and it's gone over. And where every point could be crucial, Scott, that takes it out to 12 points to 9, and as you correctly say, it now all of a sudden looks like a wee bit of an uphill battle for Peebles.
Yeah. It's disappointing. Listen, Peebles need to galvanise themselves, and
Oh, and Harrison went for the old Scott White kick-off. Scotland Sevens v South Africa, and it was taken in by a Lasswade player, and he was hit on the sternum by Jack Harrison, and we all know what that means nowadays.
Well, we're talking, that's 24 penalties now. We're now in the conditions where we're not talking about the game of rugby. We're talking about a red card, a yellow card, and 24 penalties in a game of rugby, where it doesn't particularly look.
No, and it's not been a tetchy, it's not been a niggly tetchy game either.
No.
So penalty on the 10 metre line, their own 10 metre line, and it's been sent, as you'd imagine, with the wind at their backs, down this Hawthornden pitch, and it's going to be another line out to the home side in a similar position to where they eventually scored not 5 minutes ago. We're around 12 minutes into this second half. Lasswade 12, Peebles 9. As a reminder, Lasswade, you feel, need to win this to maintain their title push. Peebles, on the other hand, if they win, there's daylight at the top. So Lasswade have won the line out, as they've done most of this afternoon. Gladstone, he comes back, fed back inside. Gladstone's back in possession. He took it from Ali Lamond. Peebles harrying and hustling, but it's came back to the ever industrious Liam Gregg. Here's another Trundle. Now one of the substitutes, the latest to carry in. Peebles' body's over that, but again it's clean ball for Gladstone. Gladstone back to Lamond. Lamond tackled by Kenny Clyde, the substitute. Clyde's over that, and he's done a good job, Clyde. Certainly managed to slow it down. On another day a penalty could have been given. The outside centre there is Mark Wilson, and if Peebles are going to attempt to drive over that, or there was an opportunity to do that anyway, still potentially on, but back with Gladstone. Gladstone again finds Liam Gregg, and they're just starting to knock at the door here in terms of possession and territory. It's a good tackle on the captain, Graham Cook. He managed to pirouette though and get it back cleanly. Now the substitute, Paul Wilson, takes it into the heavy traffic. Gladstone again to the other substitute, James Elliott, with the headgear, and that pirouettes out of Kenny Clyde's challenge. Good hands there by the two front rowers, Graham Cook, Darren Tiffany. And another penalty conceded by Peebles. Is it going to be another yellow card, Scott? This is starting to, for me, border on the ridiculous.
I've got to admit though that, I mean, the skill level of the Lasswade Park and the back division is really good. How to manage a game of rugby in windy conditions is epitomised by this Lasswade team.
Yeah, they've been very impressive.
Yeah. No, they have indeed, and it's almost the experience against the young underdogs, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that experience is shown by keeping the ball, and that takes a lot of skill level to be able to do that.
It certainly does. So they're going to have a crack at the post here through Matty Smith. He missed one previously from distance. This is on the 10 metre line, 15 metres in from the stand side. Distance shouldn't be a problem. Dare I say, Scott, while not apportioning any blame whatsoever, of course, Peebles look a wee bit like they're missing Cammy Pye today.
Yeah, they do. Obviously Cammy's was a key player for the Peebles team, and I'm just watching Graham Patterson just now talking to his other coaches and just trying to figure out a way of how they can get back up the other end of the field, I presume, and try and win this game.
Yeah, because they've barely been out their own half in this second half, and now is that going to get its way over? Yeah, similar to Wolfenden's in the first half, a bit of a sclaffed 3 wood, but as we said in the first half, they all count, and now it is Lasswade 15, Peebles 9, 6 points of daylight. Peebles at the moment struggling to get out their own half. Harrison is going to put his foot through this restart, and again it's held up in the wind, taken in there by Lasswade though. That was Matty Smith, who's had a decent game.
Yeah,
at
he's
10.
had a good second half. Yeah, he started well, controlling things, bossing things.
Second half, which is around 16 minutes old now, so Peebles with a bit to do here. And again, the captain trucking it up, looking for works. Still going, Cook. Now it's back with the scrum half. Now the wee chip over the top, and the wind's got hold of that, and it's going to cause all kinds of trouble. It's gone backwards. David Collins. Now Collins uses a bit of footwork here, and he's going to go to Wolfenden, but Wolfenden's hassled and harried there by Lewis Clark, the ex-Gala man, ex-Scotland Rugby League as well. Been reasonably quiet this afternoon, but it's not really been a game for players of his attacking ability. It's up the jumper stuff, and this is what Peebles are attempting to do here through Murdo Anderson. Peebles are around 10 metres outside their own 22, and it's the back row colleague, Rowan McKeever, and a high shot this time by Lasswade.
There we go.
And it's Harrison. Harrison's tackled hard after he'd taken the quick tap, and Ross Brown tips it on to another Peebles forward. David Collins is in playing scrum half. Wolfenden. Chop tackles flying in from Lasswade, however. That was on.
It's on this way now.
Yeah. Players on this near side for the Peas, but it's. Oh, there's a player. No. The referee signalling for the stretcher. It looked like another penalty, but that's good officiating, Scott.
Yeah, no, he stopped the play straight away, realised that there was something wrong. Yeah, you're right though, there's bodies flying everywhere. There's a real commitment coming in for the Lasswade boys there, and and Peebles are desperate to get up the other end of the park. There's probably a couple opportunities now that I'm just starting to see where the Lasswade defence is slowing up, and is there areas where we can maybe just give that extra pass? So instead of maybe a carry there, could we just move that ball, target a wee bit further, and get a couple of passes there which will create that space in the attack?
Yeah, well, it stands to reason that there is a wee bit of space on the park, not just because the weariness of limb as the game trudges on, but the fact that there's only 28 bodies on the field of play at the moment. Matty Carrier is in the bin. Still, he's got his long jacket on at the moment, and Dale Robertson, the player coach.
And that's the thing now, really, to be fair. And Peebles need to consolidate and look to try and bring Matty back on the field and see if he can, he's the talisman or the Peebles team. He leads from the front and just try and stave off any other points that Lasswade are going to pinch just before Matty Carey comes back on the field again.
Yeah, and on comes Jackman. He's going to replace, I think it's James Elliott, who took the sore one there. Elliott didn't look particularly keen to come off, but I think that decision was possibly taken out of his hands. Possibly a head knock. So the referee done well to stop play there. So here comes the here comes the Peebles 15th man, but it's not Matty Carrier, it's Rory Smith,
Rory
the youngster.
I've seen Rory a few times. He's a brilliant ball carrier, Rory, and he doesn't like getting put down on the field, so it'll be interesting to see how he can make do with some experienced Lasswade players. Yeah,
he played very well when he entered the fray at Stu Mel earlier in the season. The game we covered, he scored a try as well from a rolling maul. So it's a Peebles scrum in the centre of the park, and I've got to just shunting forward a wee bit here. Peebles holding it in, trying to milk the penalty by the looks of things, but it's been picked up by Collins. Now to Harrison, out to Wolfenden. Wolfenden comes back inside, makes a metre or two, the youngster, and now they're just encroached into the half, and there's a man over here, but Ross Brown decides to take up, and he's kind of got over the gain line, Brown, even though he had men outside him. Now one of the Peebles substitutes, I think that's Copeland. Now hard carry there, but hard tackle, and Peebles have got another man down first. Carry for the big youngster, Rory Smith. Best passage of play for Peebles for a while, certainly in the second half. It's gone loose, but it's been gathered back in. Now there's an injury here to a Peebles player. We'll keep an eye on that, but it's been stolen by Lasswade. Oh, and there's a high tackle in there as well. Clear as day. As the temperature just rises a wee bit, James Dow, it was completely accidental, but a couple of the Lasswade players got taking umbrage.
Yeah, a couple of supporters taking umbrage too. It's flying from all angles at the referee at the moment. It looks like Lewis Copeland's down in the field. He took an injury. That was better by Peebles. There was a bit of continuity there. There was no panic. There were a couple of opportunities where we could just give that extra pass to create space down the touchline, but you never. I think it's hard when you're in the stand. You don't realise how windy it is. Yeah. And fair play to both sets of players. The skill level is really high. There's not been many drop passes.
No, you're right. It has been decent stuff served up by these teams. They've played well to the conditions, nightmare conditions to a certain degree. As Copeland is leaving, that means that Matty Carrier is back on, and Carrier's going to pack down at prop. So it's a big old Peebles front row now.
Yeah, and maybe that's where it's going to be won and lost. Truthfully, if we get ascendancy in this scrum there, it looked like the last couple of scrums we've certainly been pushing them off the ball. If we can keep that scrum straight and push them off the ball and continue with the penalties the way the referee's been going, that might be the way out.
Yeah, might be the way for Peebles to get back into this. 21 minutes gone in the second half. That's a decent enough scrum by Lasswade, and they're going to maintain possession from the resulting ruck. They'll be in no great hurry now, you wouldn't have thought. Paul Wilson as well, Lasswade, with the knowledge that they've got this strong wind at their backs, with it out of a hefty kick down the park if circumstances dictate, and that's another sternum shot there by a Peebles player, and the penalty's really starting to mount up in a half break there by the impressive Ali Lamond, but they're going to go back for the penalty, and he's going to have a chat here with Murdo Anderson. I think it was Murdo Anderson who was the tackler on that occasion. Still talking with the captain, Derek Ramsey.
I think he's arguing. He's got the right player, but he's arguing it's somebody else, I think.
Oh, and there's going to be player going to the bin here. Yeah, Peebles player is going to leave the park, and Scott, that's pretty much the absolute last thing they wanted.
Yeah, it is. Murdo Anderson will be feeling fairly relieved, I think, to be fair, because it was him that made the hit in there. It's
John Gray.
It takes the game down to 14 again, 14 against 14. That seems to be where it's been since the first 5-10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Peebles, they've let Lasswade off the hook in terms of the Lasswade red card, with the amount of yellow cards they've had themselves. But after that, it's been kicked downfield by Matty Smith, and Darren Tiffany will throw in to this line out for Lasswade. And another wonderful throw in the conditions. No, curse of the commentator, it went right to the intended recipient, but slightly skew whiff, says the referee.
His thrown in's been excellent by Tiffany, though. That's a first bad call in the line out for the whole game, which is pretty impressive for a hooker.
He looks like a man that knows his way about the place and knows how to play here in conditions that are not alien to here.
Yeah, I was thinking that's what Peter Wright said before the game, that every one of these players out in the field today for Lasswade are Lasswade boys.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. You don't often see that, but he's obviously played for Lasswade for a long time, Tiffany, and he's one of the stronger players.
Yeah, the referee's having a chat here. Some might say that Tiffany's not alone in playing well here this afternoon.
Yeah, Peter Wright's without doubt got that team firing for him today. That the top 2 inches for those forwards, those experienced forwards, they're certainly up for it, aren't they?
They are. They've got Peter Wright stamped all over them. You can tell a Peter Wright team, and this has got all the hallmarks. But it's been picked up by Collins of Peebles from the scrum, and now Matty Carrier's on the charge, and he's still going. Matty Carrier, that's what the Peebles players and fans want to see from the talisman. Now it's back with McKeever. McKeever's popped it on there to another Peebles forward, and Harrison's at the base. Harrison to Brown. Brown out to the numberless Kenny Clyde. He goes to deck. Good play by Peebles, but they're still camped inside their own half. Now there's a wee bit of space. Wolfenden rather, but the pass goes over the head of the winger Neil Pate, and it's going to be another line out.
There was a half an opportunity for Ross just to lift his head there and attack the spaces himself and ask questions of those aging players in the Lasswade team if they can tackle him. Ross has got a really good break on him, but at the moment he's just feeding his men there, rather than maybe there's a second chance or an opportunity for Ross to go himself and straighten and go, because he just keeps feeding and keeps going out to the back. So one of these times those backs will drift off him and he'll be through that hole.
Yeah, just a wee bit of variation from the youngster. Around 14 minutes left in this tussle. Lasswade 15, Peebles 9. Scrum looks to be uncontested, and Harrison's came round there to harry his opposite number with Gladstone, and another run from the outside centre, Mark Wilson. Lasswade now in possession inside the half, looking for anything. A penalty or a try would do the job. Peebles, as it stands at the moment, still leaving here with at least 1 point. Lasswade would be happy enough with a penalty to take Peebles out with the 7. Now they're getting up and in, up towards the 22. Strong wind at their backs. Lasswade looking to exert their dominance here, and another big carry in there. I think that was Tiffany. Now Gladstone. There's a player coming on the cut there. It's David Hall, the inside centre, doing really well to maintain possession here. Lasswade, as they've done for most of this game, into the wind and with the wind. Backs and forwards working in unison. Mark Wilson again. Another carry there by Ali Lamond. He's earned his corn today. Paul Wilson, substitute, he's been impressive since he came on at half time. Gladstone, that's been lost on, it's been taken in.
Must be early, must go wide early.
Yeah, taken in there by the captain, Murdo Anderson. Now there's a wee bit of space opening up here for Peebles. It's Collins straightens. Oh, and the tackles.
There's 3 high tackles there right away.
Now this could be a rammy, but no. It's been taken quickly by Jack Harrison, the scrum half, and it's gone forward there, and another huge hit comes in from a Lasswade player, and they're going to come back for what was a knock-on halfway by Lasswade. But Scott, the cards have been quick enough brandished in the direction of Peebles. I thought that, three what looked like 3 quick fire high shots there.
High shots there prevented Peebles getting well up the field there just now, as far as I was concerned there. So there must have been his consideration for the yellow card, but you can see the game really opening up now. And you can see Peter Wright obviously desperate to get a younger player on that field and replace him. There is opportunities, you know. We say 12 minutes to go. It's starting to really open up, and if Peebles can just understand that there's opportunities there on turnover ball especially, to get that ball wide.
Yeah, there was just a wee bit of space here on this near side. There's going to be a Peebles scrum. Now the referee's having a chat here with Russell Gladstone and pointing to the general direction of where the high shots were, but no, there's going to be a scrum. So we'll see if they're still uncontested. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be. So Harrison will feed this. We just wait the ball to come in. Nobody seems to be in any particular hurry, but it's back at the feet of Finlay Collins. Now it's out there to, that was Wolfenden, but again, desperate defence from Lasswade, defending like their life's depend on it at the moment. Collins back inside their own half, they're now Peebles, tipped on by McKeever, and that's gone loose and it's gone forward, and Scott Peebles just architects their own downfall at the moment.
Yeah, they're just, you know, they're having to push their boundaries a wee bit, you know. It's it all stems from that first half and possibly a couple of kicking opportunities that never came away with 3 or 6 points, and now we've got 10 minutes to go and we're chasing the game a wee bit.
Yeah, and there was raised eyebrows here by us pre-game when it was said that Lasswade had won the toss and elected to play into the wind, but they obviously know exactly what they're doing here, and that looks like an inspired decision now.
Yeah, and it does, and you know, your 10 and your 12 and 13, your Matty Smith and your David Hall and Wilson are defending and playing the game really well. Here's a turnover though.
Yeah, it was that man Mark Wilson who's been brilliant this afternoon, the outside centre. He lost it forward, and another big hit there by David Hall on Peebles captain Murdo Anderson. Kenny Clyde still inside their own half, the Peebles. Harrison, it's a better carry there by Peebles forward. Now Harrison again looks to go long, but it's been stolen by Jackman, but he's in an offside position.
For me, that's a yellow card. He was miles offside.
He was.
He prevented Peebles from trying to go up the field to score.
Yeah, now the referee's going to have a chat at the very least with the stand-in captain, Gladstone. I agree with you, Scott, that looked a wee bit cynical from the youngster, and it did prevented Peebles from playing rugby. There was an opportunity there, and Jack Harrison had sensed it.
Yeah, you can see Jack's desperate to get that ball moving and get the tempo of the game up, you know.
Okay, let's bring you some latest details in the Premiership. It's Curry 24, Glasgow Hawks 15. That's the bonus point try in the bag for Curry. Kelso 36 now, Mar 7, Musselburgh 7, Selkirk 5 in the Premiership. Still no score at Riverside Park, Jed Forest against Heriots Blues.
And we're off and running here. Peebles have taken the tap penalty. It was Harrison to Matty Carrier. You'll have to stay in field here, Carrier, but he's done exactly that and he takes it to ground. So Harrison at the base is deep into Lasswade territory. Peebles have been in this second half and they're still not near the 22. There's a wee bit of off the ball stuff going on here, but no. Rory Smith thinks better than to get involved. Now it's with, dropped again, but it's gone backwards, says the referee. McKeever, he's been a wee bit slack in possession at times, McKeever, this afternoon. The ball's been thrown away. I think there's been a bit of back chat there.
Yeah. And suddenly the tides have turned, haven't they?
And the back chat has resulted in a yellow card for a... and there's some apologies for any industrial language you may have picked up there over the microphone. One of the Lasswade faithful less than enamoured at that decision.
But it's those little opportunities that Peebles are grasping just now, and they're trying to play some rugby off it. Great little break.
Yeah, little half break from the tap penalty from Jack Harrison, and now Peebles just outside the 22, which is as far as they've been in this second half. Set back here for Harrison. He's got a runner but decides to go out the back door to Wolfenden, and they've just got a wee bit of a head of steam up now, the men for the Guides, as he twists and pirouettes out the tackle and takes it to ground, and now it's back with Carrier. Carrier's going to go one way and that's forward just over 22, and there's a penalty coming to Peebles here, and Harrison's taking it quickly again. He really has not 10, and Harrison's seen a bit of space here and they're up and in over 5 metre line. Great play by the scrum half. He's been impressive in this second half, but
why does he not play advantage in that position?
Brought them back here. Derek Ramsey, the referee,
Well played, Jack Harrison. No, he's trying to engage that energy into his team, trying to get that forward pack moving and shifting.
Yeah,
it's a key. It's going to be key for the last 7 minutes of the game if Jack can get that pack working for him.
And they just look like they've possibly just maybe got the upper hand now. Peebles, from a fitness perspective, is quite understandably some of the Lasswade Burley operators are just starting to look a wee bit weary of limb.
Now it's fair play to Peebles. You know, we almost felt sorry for them for a while. You know, they looked down and out, but they've the character has showed, and hence the reason why they're at the top of the league. You know, they're really pushing to try and get this win now.
So the penalty's going to take place maybe 10 metres, 12 metres from the Lasswade line. And what's going to happen? Are they going to have a kick at the posts here? No, the defence are fanning across the park, which would suggest that they're not. So Matty Carrier looks like he's going to tap and go. He feeds it to Rory Smith. Harrison to McKeever. That looked high, but the referee seems happy enough. Now it's Carrier, 10 tries to his name this season. Can he make it 11? Oh, it's been spilled forward uncharacteristically by the big hooker.
Ripped out the tackle by Lewis Clark. It was a good tackle, you know, probably a cheap shot in there as well with a high tackle, but then managed to rip the ball out at the same time.
Yeah, I thought,
and Matty's legs were pumping, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought there was a high shot earlier in the piece against Rowan McKeever. Now Peebles looking to bring.
They're desperate to bring this yellow card back on the field again, but he's just been sent back off.
John Gray, just not enough of the 10 minutes elapsed yet for the prop.
So it's a huge scrum.
Yeah.
Peebles must put some pressure on this scrum here and get pressure on Lasswade, stand off and make sure they do not get a good exit out of their own half.
No, with around 5 minutes to go here in this key second half, and it's been not the best, but the kick is fantastic. The clearing kick from Lasswade, it was a loose pass from the scrum half, but it was taken back in by Matty Smith, and all he needed to do was just put his foot through it, and the wind has taken it to nigh on halfway.
The halfway line, you know, it was good pressure by Harrison at scrum half there as well. It was a terrible ball by the scrum half, but Matty Smith made a beautiful clearance kick.
Yeah, knows his way around this place, as we said earlier on, and some of the natives here just starting to get a wee bit restless. It's gone up a couple of octaves in terms of the volume, but knock on at the line out from Lasswade, and again the home faithful not overly pleased with that decision.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the referee won't be going in for a cup of tea after the game of this one.
No, I don't think he'll be overly popular with either camp, to be honest, right. Scott.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he certainly likes giving away penalties. I'm making that now. I'm sitting at.
We'll be well into the 30s now.
Yeah, I'm making 37 penalties.
37 penalties, my word.
Unbelievable.
So the scrum from the knock on at the line out is a Peebles scrum. It's just inside the Lasswade half, which is not where Peebles want to be. It's an uncontested scrum picked up by the young number 8 Collins. Now there's a run there, but it's again resolute defence there from Lasswade, as it's been for pretty much all of the game, or certainly since Dale Robertson was sent off. Harrison sees a wee bit of space and has a crack and nicks another metre or two. McKeever tries to do the same, and he's done exactly that. Needs a bit of support though, doesn't want to get isolated. Harrison though, it's going to be back in his grateful mitts, and he comes back inside, and there's a gap on here for what looks like Collins, and Collins is off and running. David Collins is out. He's over the line, and he's scored a try. A Peebles try with around 3 minutes to go. That takes the scoreline 15 points to 14 in Lasswade's favour. Scott Tomlinson, kick to come into the wind.
Yeah, key to that was Patrick Harrison's beautiful little break, and then a reverse pass inside to Collins, and Collins had the pace and announced to get over the line. You know, a good 22 metre break, and scored just to the right hand side of the post. And it is now down to Russ Wolfenden for the conversion.
It is pressure on the youngster, just up from Colts Rugby this season. Now, on a normal day, Scott, you'd say this is an absolute given. You know, you'd put your house on it, but this is into the breeze. He's going to have Burley forwards charging down on him, but this could be a make or break moment in terms of the season of both of these clubs. 1 point in it. Wolfenden through the sticks it goes.
Very
and that
confident, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful strike, Scott. Yep. And that 1 point now is in favour of the away team. Peebles. It's Lasswade 15, Peebles 16 with around 2, maybe 3 minutes to go, and we have got a game on here.
All to play for though. Lasswade's got to come back, fight, and you can hear the crowd.
Yeah, possibly a lesser spotted drop goal, Scott. Smith, he's gone deep with that, and he's gone too deep. Oh, and it's gone. Oh, it's gone dead. Now
oh my goodness, that was very, very close. It bounced off the far away corner flag and stayed in play, and the winger nearly touched it down.
Yeah,
it wasn't for Harrison's quick thinking there, I'll tell you.
Wow, it wasn't the try line flag, it was the dead ball flag. The wind got hold of the kickoff. It almost, or Harrison was content to let it go dead, and it nearly did, but it hit the flag, and there was an on-rushing Lasswade player who nearly got down on it.
I'd like to see where Harrison's foot was. I think Harrison's foot, the ball was still moving, and Harrison's foot was still outside play, but I would have to have a look back at that one. But fair play for Lasswade for putting pressure on it.
Yeah, kick, good chase of the kick, desperate stuff. They've been really desperate this afternoon, Lasswade. They played like a team whose season depends on the outcome of this, but it's a Peebles scrum right in centre field, and is picked up by the young number 8 again, Finlay Collins, as he's done on many of these uncontested scrums. Oh, and there's a penalty being awarded to Lasswade, holding on. Now, Scott, there is a penalty opportunity here. They're inside their own half with the wind.
Matty Smith straight up.
Yeah,
he wants the ball. Matty Smith, he's got to go for a goal.
Halfway line. There was about 6 of them there pointing at the posts. There was only one thought in the mind, so the tee comes on. Matty Smith, it was Ross Wolfenden with a pressure kick a few seconds ago, and that's a real error there by Peebles. They're going to potentially let Lasswade off the hook here.
Listen, Robin, at the end of the day, if you kick a kick for 50 metres and it goes square bang through the post, they deserve the victory, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
All hinges on this kick.
40's up. 80's up by my clock. Matty Smith, a few centimetres inside his own half, centre field. Moment of the season, potentially as far as both clubs are concerned. Strikes it, heading towards the post, heading over the posts. The crowd will tell you, is there life left in this game? Yes, they're coming back into position. Matty Smith has produced the goods for his team. 18 points to 16, late drama here at Hawthornden. The crowd are in absolute raptures here, and now Peebles into this gale. I've got it all to do once again, and that's a kick off that's been taken in there by Ali Lamond, and all they need to do is maintain possession now, the home team. Gladstone, you can imagine what they're going to do here, and that's stuff it up the jumper. Oh, and a penalty's been awarded to Peebles, and it's been taken quickly. I'm not sure that was the right decision. Back Kenny Clyde's off and running. Worthy 10. Harrison, Matty Carrier, he tips it on to John Gray. Peebles still in possession, they're into 22, and a wee bit of space has opened up round the fringe there. Good counter drive there by one of the Lasswade players. Now Peebles, pressure situation here.
Peebles just need to keep ball. The referee are bound to give away another penalty, so keep ball. Just keep possession.
Matty Carrier to show the footwork there. There's a Lasswade body lying about there. Now it's the young replacement hooker, Rory Smith. Rory Smith's taken to ground. Yeah, it has to be let go. Now they'll be mindful of not drift out of that far touchline. And there's a counter ruck on there as well. On a penalty's been awarded to Peebles. Again, now are they going to take it? No, the referee's not going to allow Ross Brown to take it quickly because there's a man injured here. Decisions here, Scott.
Yeah, listen, there was some huge opportunities for Peebles there. They sucked Lasswade in. There was a lot of potential here on this left hand. They're tapping and going.
And it's Brown, Ross Brown. Can he get his 7th and most crucial try this season? Matty Carrier, the free scoring. He's hauled down short. Harrison to McKeever. Oh, McKeever was hit really hard. There's been a few occasions. Wolfenden spun out there. Now there's a break on it inside and over the line. Peebles are over the line. The try has been awarded, as gutsy as you like, for the men from the Guides. Away fans here in their numbers, and they, Scott, understandably are absolutely delighted. What gut?
I think it was James Dow that got over the line. Over the whitewash, but a tremendous try by them. It shows real character for Peebles. Twice they've came back from the dead, and they've came back to win this game of rugby. Fantastic result for Peebles this afternoon.
It's Lasswade 18, Peebles 21, kick to come, and certainly by my watch, Scott, this will be the end of the game. I can't see there being much more life in it. What late drama here in Midlothian, in the context of both of these club seasons. Huge moment as Wolfenden lines this one up. He confidently stroked the last one through the sticks. You feel this will matter not, but he scored it anyway. Oh, the flag goes up. One flag, no. The flags have stayed. Just to add to the drama, Scott, one flag's gone up. One flag stayed down.
It wasn't a conversion for where we were standing, I don't think.
He's
still playing on, no, the referee, so there's still time.
There's time left in this one.
Whiz.
Wolfenden's remonstrating. He believes he scored it. One of the touch judges, there's no ARs, of course, at this level.
Oh my goodness, the ball boys on the field, Peter Wright's on the field, everybody's kicking off.
It's all happening here. Late drama.
Listen, at the end of the day, people must concentrate on this kickoff. It'll be a difficult kickoff.
Discipline.
They're going against this wind.
Yeah, there's already been 437 penalties in this match. They don't want to make it 438 as they kick off. And it's been fumbled by a Peebles player, and now it's in the hands of Liam Gregg. Peebles just want to let Lasswade have it here. Discipline required, and it's Ali Lamond. He wouldn't deserve to be in a losing team, neither would Liam Gregg.
No, but I know Lasswade have kept ball really well the whole game.
They have, and this time
and this referee's giving away penalties the whole game as well. So you know, I could just see what's going to happen here.
Oh, he's about to award something. It's a Peebles penalty. It's a Peebles penalty. Lasswade players cannot believe it. I dare say Peter Wright can't believe it. Or he probably can, Peter. He's seen it all. A penalty awarded to Peebles. The place went silent. Everybody, us included, was waiting to see. We knew there was a decision coming from him. A yellow card's been awarded to Mark Wilson as well. You can only imagine that's for a bit of chat.
42 penalties in the game.
42
penalties. Wow.
I can see Dale Robertson down there, washed and changed and shaking his head. Now, Wolfenden's asked the question. He taps it, he kicks it out. The final whistle goes. Peebles have won this crunch encounter. High late drama here at Lasswade. And Scott Tomlinson summed that up for us.
Well, it's very hard to sum up, but that's a game of rugby for club rugby.
Yeah,
the standard's been really high, end sort of stuff. But thoroughly impressed with Peebles at the end to come back for 2 defeats down really during the game, and to come back and score 2 excellent tries to win the game of rugby. Disappointed that we're talking about the referee and not about the standard of the game and the players out there that produced a really good game of rugby.
They certainly did. Well, someone once famously sang, "Give peace a chance," but it's the Peas that have a chance, and it's a great chance now of lifting the National 2 title. It's finished here at Lasswade. Lasswade 18, Peebles 21.
What a breathtaking match that has been. Unbelievable. Wind insisted as well, and we'll be getting reaction from both camps very, very shortly. But my goodness, there's been some strange results happening today, and let's have a look at the latest in the Premiership. Currie 43, it's Glasgow Hawks 20, Kelso 48 now, Mar 19, Jed Forest 13, Heriots Blues 5, and a try from Rory Marshall there. Musselburgh 12, Selkirk 5 is a latest score as well in the Premiership. Into National 1 and ended at Marside, the 1:30 kickoff. Watsonians 36, GHA 33, and Ayr have already got the try bonus in their quest to become champions this afternoon. It's Ayr 26, GHK 5 at Millbrae. International 2, Aberdeen Grammar 29, Kirkcaldy 41 is a final score. Kirkcaldy winning a vital match for them. They, of course, were down in third bottom of the table today. Aberdeen will stay bottom. Latest from Newton Stewart's ground, it's Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25. Berwick have been in front for most of the game, but they've just gone behind with a late penalty. That's the latest score. Boroughmuir 24, Preston Lodge 39 is a full-time result that's just come in as well. 5 minutes ago, I can confirm in the match at Badenoch, it's Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25. That's going to be a vital game at the moment as it stands. Berwick certainly have got a losing bonus point there. Whether they've got the try bonus is another matter. I don't think they have. There was several penalties happening there. Kelso 48, Mar 19 is the latest score. Ayr 26, GHK 12. GHK have got their second try of the match as well. Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17 is a latest score. And International 3, Allen Glen 17, Cartha Queen's Park 0 is a latest score. Boroughmuir 24, Preston Lodge 39. That is a full-time result. Hamilton 12, Western Scotland 21 is the latest. And can Orkney's unbeaten record go? They're drawing at the moment at Hillhead Jordan Hill. That's 18 points apiece in that game. So it's certainly high drama here at the moment. Mar have just scored as well, 48 points to 20 at Poynter Park. But an incredible result if it stays that way for the lads from Poynter Park. Kelso there doing incredibly well today. Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17 is a latest score. And Jed Forest 13, Herrick's Blues 5 is a latest score as well. We'll be back with reaction very shortly.
This is Rugby Radio.
Rugby Radio.
If you're looking to develop or hone your green skills, look no further than Borders College, your local community college. Visit borderscollege.ac.uk today. Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whiskey making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
Your pet deserves the best, and that's why your pet deserves the care and treatment offered by Border Vets. We focus on delivering the very best care to each and every one of our patients and clients. We get to know you and your pet and offer treatments tailored to every animal's individual needs, from our conveniently located surgeries in Galashiels, Selkirk and Earlston. Ask about our Pet Health Club for your cat or dog, giving you peace of mind by spreading the cost of vaccinations, regular checks and more. From dental care to travelling abroad and the whole range of veterinary services, bordervets.co.uk is where you'll find everything you need to know. Border Vets, where your pets are part of our family.
This is Rugby Radio, brought to you by Borders College.
Yes, all been happening here at Hawthornden today. I can tell you it's full time at Sunnyside. Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17 is a final result there. Musselburgh 12, Selkirk 10. A try to Selkirk late on in that game. Ayr 33, GHK 12, and it's all over at Poynter Park. Kelso 48, Mar 24. An extraordinary result. We'll be finding out from David Ferguson more later on. But let's go down pitch side because Hugh Brown is with Ross Wolfenden. Peebles, remember, winning this at the death. It's Lasswade 18, Peebles 21. Here's Hugh.
Ross, how do you sum up a game like that?
It was a bit scrappy. Weather wasn't the greatest, but yeah, great win for the boys, and finishing 2023 at the top of the table is good. Yeah.
I mean, you had your chances, and the last 5 minutes or so really turned the game.
First half was a bit scrappy, no where we needed to work on. Second half, again a bit slow, but then we started to play a bit better. getting the forwards round the corner, creating momentum, and then we got over for 2 tries, so it was good.
One of the differences between the teams was that early on Lasswade lost a player, so they were down to 14 men. That gave you an advantage.
Yeah, it was good getting the man advantage. We knew they'd tire at the end, so it was just sapping the energy out of them and then hitting when we got numbers up.
What's it like playing in a gale force wind like this and trying to kick?
It's pretty brutal. Like first kick to touch wasn't the greatest. The ball's like moving as soon as you drop it, but yeah, you just gotta like trust your technique, stay in it, and hopefully it goes where you want it.
When they went a point ahead with just a couple of minutes left on the clock, you must have wondered whether it was all over.
Yeah, well, we scored there. I asking the ref how long left, and getting a bit nervy, and then they go and score, and we're like, oh great. But then the boys stuck at it, really pushed momentum, dug deep, and all like the training worked out, and score in the end, and it's class.
Absolutely amazing victory for you, and it means that you will stay top of Division 2 tonight.
Yeah, great feeling, yeah.
Do you think you can go on and become champions and get promotion?
Yeah, hopefully. The boys are training really well, really good work ethic. The boys have been really good to me when I've come in from the Colts and playing up. So yeah, it's really good morale around the team, so yeah, class.
And you got revenge on Lasswade, they beat you down at the Gates by a point. You've beaten them by 3 today.
Yeah, good result. I wasn't playing the time before, but the boys were really up for this one. Good tell in training that they're really wanting to win this, and good result, yeah.
Ross, congratulations, enjoy this evening. I'm sure you'll celebrate a bit.
Thank you.
Ross Wolfenden of Peebles there, and congratulations to him and to the rest of the team. A win this afternoon which will certainly enhance their position at the top of Division 2 and also keep them right in the hunt for that one promotion place, Stuart.
Well, you're going to try and find a Lasswade player from somewhere, so we'll rejoin you very, very shortly as soon as you've got that, because Selkirk have just taken the lead at Musselburgh at Stony Hill. It's 17 points to 12. Don't forget the Bill McLaren Shield is at stake in that one. A result in National 4, Whitecraigs 40, Perthshire 27. Whitecraigs in 3rd position today. Perthshire putting up a good fight. They've been on the wrong side of a couple of leatherings over the last few weeks, but that's a much better performance for them today. It's Curry 50, Glasgow Hawks 20 is a latest score. Jed Forest 13, Heriots Blues 10. Heriots getting a couple of tries, and we can go back pitch side again. Hugh Brown has got the Peebles captain with him at the moment.
Thank you very much indeed, Stuart. Yes, Murdo Anderson is with him. Murdo, what a victory. You must be so delighted.
Definitely delighted. It's not the way we'd probably like to win a game like that, but at the end of the day a win's a win, and our brutal rivals Lasswade, it's nice to put them to the sword after 2 seasons of losing to them, so we'll take a win at the end of the day there.
Yes, you lost by a point down at the Gates earlier in the season, so this is sweet revenge.
Yeah. We definitely, both games, we didn't play the way we want to play. We end up sort of doing what they want us to do. Fortunately, this time round, we managed to beat them at it.
How important do you think this victory is for you in terms of getting promotion from Division 2 this season at the end of the season?
It's definitely one of the key games to win, to go into the break and then have 5 more matches that we really do. We need to be taking points every. It's by no means winning it now. We're not going to get complacent, but that's a key win for us today.
The game seemed to be won or lost by penalties. I think there were over 40 penalties awarded by the referee in the game, which is a huge number. Did that change things?
It did, similar to the last time we played Lasswade, and it's something that we need to go back and have a look at. Obviously, sometimes that was in our favour today, and sometimes it was really just stopping any momentum and stopping us playing the way we want to play.
It seemed strange that Lasswade decided to play into the wind in the first half, but they knew what they were doing, because in the second half that gave them the advantage of the wind, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It took me aback when they won the toss and then chose to be played at with the wind. But we were under no illusion we were going to come here and they were going to be a very tough opposition up the jumpers. They haven't played. I think it's 4 weeks since they last played, so we knew they'd be fresh and they'd come out hard, and it was a tough 80 minutes.
Tremendous victory. Well done to the lads. You definitely have a beer or two tonight.
We might have to, maybe even 3.
Murdo, well done. Thank you very much indeed. The captain of Peebles, that's Murdo Anderson, Stuart.
Okay, still in search of a Lasswade player. I'm sure they'll be deep in discussion, but I'm sure we'll get somebody out to have a little chat very shortly. Orkney have lost their unbeaten record by 21 points to 18. They've gone to Hewenden there. Hillhead, Jordan Hill, fair play to them, have come up and done something that no one else has done in National 3. So Orkney are beaten for the very first time, and that puts Preston Lodge into pole position. Of course, the two have to meet yet, but that's going to be happening at Penny Pit. But Preston Lodge getting a result at Boroughmuir today by 39 points to 24. We can confirm that result at Myerside in National 1. Watsonians 36, GHA 33. A bit of a scrap there, and Hugh Brown has managed to track down a Lasswade player.
No, I haven't actually. I managed to track down the Peebles coach.
Lasswade still to come. You carry on.
Yes, I think the Lasswade players are well and truly locked in the home dressing room, but with me out here in the players' tunnel is the Peebles coach, Graham Patterson. Graham, what a victory! How do you sum up a game like that?
I think we talked about pre-match winning ugly. I think that kind of defines winning ugly. I think these are games that you look back at the end of the season and say, they're the turning points. They're the ones that kind of you remember for the spirit, the effort, the never say die attitude of the guys out on the pitch. They still believed that they could win that game, and it shone through.
And it looked like they had lost it with just a couple of minutes to go when Lasswade went 16-15 ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing. Our performance wasn't great today. Let's be honest about it. And I've said that to the players already. And we made some poor decisions, and that contributed towards them getting that chance for that penalty to take the lead at the end. But to bounce back from that is great for the guys. They'll take that forward. I think that's absolutely, they'll take that forward.
And it keeps you at the top of the table tonight as you go into the break, which is tremendous, and just 5 games left to stay there and to get that promotion place.
Yeah, and I said that afterwards. We're kind of playing knockout rugby almost now. It's a case of just chalking these games off as we go along. It'll be a tough test, we know that, against Newton Stewart. They're a decent side, and they've gone on a good run. They've maybe had a couple of sort of shaky results, but it's who copes with the break the best, who comes back from that, if they've had their confidence dented, maybe like Lasswade have today, depending on other results as well, how Falkirk have gone and whatever, but they can take the confidence going into 2024, knowing that we've put in a massive shift in 2023 and giving ourselves the best chance.
We talked before the game with you about how important the windy conditions would be, and that proved to be the case. It really was a game of two halves.
It was. I think they coped with it better, probably because it's their home ground and they know how to play here and they know what the wind does to the ball. And we probably didn't just adapt as well as we maybe could or should have. But yeah, you're right. It very much did affect the game. It affected just things like passing, even. Not so much even the kicking game. It was more the passing. People were getting caught because of the holding up of the ball and the wind. Just the distances we had between our sort of 9 and our runners just needed to be adjusted a wee bit after that first half. But yeah, it is difficult for players to rain. You can cope with. Wind is very difficult for skill levels to keep up.
But a happy man tonight.
Absolutely. I think the short bus journey back down to Peebles might still be eventful.
Graham, thanks for joining me. Congratulations to you and the lads. Well done today.
Thank you.
That's Graham Patterson, the coach of Peebles' victory this afternoon here at Lasswade by 21 points to 18, Stuart.
Okay, go in search of those Lasswade boys. We want to hear Peter Wright's comments on that one, particularly on the penalties, over 40 this afternoon here at Lasswade. Well, we mentioned that Orkney's unbeaten record in National 3 is gone, but Garnock's continues. That's 11 out of 11 for them. They've won at home against Stewartry today by 43 points to 14. That's a result that's just come in. It's all over at Maleny Park. Curry 50, Glasgow Hawks 20, Kelso 48, Mar 24 was a full-time result. And of course we're now into the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Musselburgh 12, Selkirk 17 is the latest score from Stony Hill, and Jed Forest 13, Herits Blues 10 is the latest from Riverside Park. Don't forget there was no Hoyk or Inbrackie's match today. Into National 1, Watsonians 36, 26, GHA 33. I'm still waiting on Dundee against Melrose and Glasgow Accies against Biggar in National 1. There were 2 o'clock kickoffs. The halftime whistle has gone at Riverside Park, and Jed Forest 13, Heriots Blues 10 is a latest score in that game. Ayr 40, GHK 12, so it's looking like another walk in the park down at Millbrae, and of course they only need 3 points today to confirm that they are champions of National 1. National 2 full-time results: Aberdeen Grammar 29, Kirkcaldy 41, Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17, Lasswade 18, Peebles 21, and Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25. The last we'd heard was Stirling County 19, Stewart's Melville 39. Half time at Millbrae, it's Ayr 40, GHK 12. They're certainly celebrating in style. That game kicked off at 3 o'clock, so we're still very much underway. National 3, Allen Glens 34, Cartha Queen's Park 5 is a final result. Boroughmuir 24, Preston Lodge 39 in National 3, so they stay top of the table. Still waiting on Dumfries and Howe of Fife to come in. Hamilton 12, West of Scotland 21 is a latest score, and Hillhead Jordan Hill 21, Orkney 18 was a final result at Hughenden there. Okay, welcome back to Lasswade, where it ended here. Lasswade 18, Peebles 21, and the wind still as strong as ever, but Hugh Brown has managed to catch up with Peter Wright, and my goodness, what a race that was. Here he is now.
Peter, thank you for joining me. You must be really disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not happy after that sort of result. Dominated the game for 70 minutes. Played some decent stuff in what were really pretty poor conditions. And ultimately we imploded. Our discipline was terrible. We gave away too many penalties. I think both teams gave away too many. I've never seen a game where I think there must have been 40 plus penalties in that game. Unbelievable. But you know, your own downfall when you give away penalties, whether they're right or wrong is irrelevant. If the referee deems it a penalty, it's a penalty, and you've got to control that. And we didn't control it. Getting a red card didn't help. But we played well after that. We dominated. I thought we dominated the game. We defended well. We didn't let Peebles play any rugby. We tried to play a little bit. We got a couple of tries, but fair dues to Peebles. Last 10 minutes really took the game by the scruff of the neck. Got ourselves a lead. We got ourselves back in the lead. They got themselves back in the lead. So I think for the people that were here, I think the Peebles fans and the neutrals will be over the moon. I think Lasswade guys disappointed. I think disappointed in the result, disappointed in probably the performance with our guys in the last 10-12 minutes. When you're down to 12 players or whatever it was, 11, 13 players, it's a tough ask. And I think what concerned me the most is we had two teams there that are pretty decent rugby teams who want to try and play the game, and we're not getting that opportunity to do that for whatever reason, whether it's the weather, whether it's, well, you know what I'm on about. You know exactly what I'm on about. So, but you know what? We just dust ourselves down. Peebles are now in the driving seat, and if Peebles don't go up, they'll only have themselves to blame.
You were up against, as you mentioned, when Dale Robertson was sent off early on. When you're one man down and the other team have that advantage, they should be able to capitalise on that. Yeah,
I agree, but I think when you play in conditions like this, that negates sometimes that one man extra, because you can't play a lot of rugby. You can't use the space and the pitch size to then go against the 14 players, because it isn't that type of game. We were chuffed with the two tries that we scored. The first one in particular, we just kept it for phase after phase, and then we manipulated the game to get in the corner. But people scored two tries at the end. The first one very good, just went through the pillars, no pillar. We were down to 13 players, no defensive pillar in place, and you have a vision to see that, and that's really good. And a lot of young boys in that Peebles team, they'll learn a lot for that game. But did they deserve to win? Doesn't matter. They had more points at the end of the game than we did, and ultimately that's what rugby's about. It's about having more points at the final whistle. Whether you deserve or don't deserve, totally irrelevant. It's who wins at the end of the day, and Peebles won it.
Did you think you had won it with a couple of minutes left when you went 16-15 ahead?
Yeah. Well, no, because there was too much going on in this game to ever be confident in anything. There were so many decisions that you were just questioning a lot of the time. As I say, there must have been at least, I think he gave 35 penalties in the first game, but the referee does, and there must have been at least 40. There had to be more. I don't know how many. I've just seen the referee coach walking past me. I'm hoping to catch him before, because they'll not come in and talk to us. That's the problem you've got. Our players' behaviour at times was really poor. And I thought it was. I thought that you're arguing with referees on the pitch, you're going to get yellow carded for that. And I was trying to stop him, speaking to him at the end of the game, because he's the sort of referee well within his right to give a red card at the end of the match for maybe some of the things that were getting said. So what we need to do, we've got 2 or 3 weeks of a break. The game's obviously, the title now is not in our hands. It's all down to Peebles to lose. I think they play Newton Stewart next. They win that game, then it's hands down. They're the champions. So we just got to get on with it. We've just got to take lessons and learn from the things you learn for adversity, and that's what we've got to do, and just come against Gordonians in a few weeks' time and see if we can put it right.
A wee hot toddy tonight, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2. It's Christmas, maybe 1 or 2. So
have a great Christmas. Enjoy the break. Come back refreshed in the new year. Thanks for joining me, Peter.
No, brilliant. Always a pleasure.
Peter Wright, the coach of Lasswade there. And of course, they lost this afternoon by 21 points to 18 to Peebles, and Peebles stay at the top of Division 2, Stuart.
They certainly do, thanks to Hugh Brown. I'm sure he'll be having a look and see if he can find somebody else to talk to, because he enjoys that sort of thing. And Ewan Welsh will be bringing in a little bit later on, because we'll be talking about the finals day, which is happening tomorrow at Murrayfield. What else can we tell you? And tell you the latest score: Jed Forest 13, Heriots Blues 10. So Jed Forest with their noses in front. Don't forget they've gone 14 matches without any win so far, but they're in front there against Heriots Blues. Cammy Meagher and Rory Jackson scoring tries for Heriots Blues, and Rory Marshall going over for the only try for Jed Forest at the moment. In National 1, full-time results just come in. It's Dundee 13, Melrose 53. Pretty sure that puts Melrose on the second position. Of course, Ayr are running away with it against GHK, 47-12 at the moment at Millbrae. So tremendous performance from them. They will be crowned champions today. Melrose, though, will go into second place above Highland, who didn't play today. In National 4, we can tell you all the results now. Garnock 43, Stuartry 14. Garnock retain their unbeaten record. Greenock Wanderers 19, North Berwick 15. Good result for Greenock there at home. Ross High, bottom of the table, 19. Dunfermline 43. And big score for Strathmore. Strathmore 75. Murrayfield Wanderers 0. And White Craigs 40. Perthshire 27. That is a full-time result in National 4. Ayr have scored yet another try, running rampant at Millbrae. Big celebrations there tonight. Jamie Bova scoring once again. 54 points to 12 is the latest score, and there's still only 46 minutes played in that game. That could be a cricket score for Ayr against GHK. Still waiting on Glasgow Accies against Biggar. That's at Anniesland, and we're still waiting on Stirling Stumell. Last we heard was Stumell winning that one by 39 points to 19.
Here they come again, hopscotching up to my door. One by one again, knockety knock knocking upon my floor. Swinging on my gate, they gain entry by the yard. Pulling at my hair they scream, paint your thoughts upon my card. But not tonight, I've got studies to examine. Tomorrow I'll be watching all the Queen's men. A talent contest on Monday with my Uncle Sam, who now takes up all of my time. He gives me things to do, cause he's a wonderful man. But I'm sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. I'm sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam. To be with my Uncle Sam. Silly little sniggers from the women liberators, but I'll stand and hold my post. Polish buttons and direct, I'll raise the flag, I'll show those women who's the most. But not tonight, I've got studies to examine. Tomorrow I'll be watching all the Queen's men. A talent contest on Monday with my Uncle Sam, who now takes up all of my time, gives me things to do. He's a wonderful man. But I'm sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. I'm sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam. Sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. I'm sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam. But not tonight, I've got studies to examine. Tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll be watching all the Queen's men. A talent contest on Monday with my Uncle Sam, who now takes up all of my time. He gives me things to do, cause he's a wonderful man. Sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. I'm sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam. Sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. I'm sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam. Sailing across the sea to see my Uncle Sam. Sailing across the sea to be with my Uncle Sam.
Yes, it's all madness, I tell you. Uncle Sam And welcome back to Lasswade, where Robin Purdie's joined me at a freezing cold back of the stand. And well, we certainly picked a good match today, wasn't it? That was extraordinary at the end. I mean, it wasn't vintage champagne rugby, but my goodness, in terms of excitement, it was off the scale. And was it 43 penalties?
Yeah, I think you fought 43, 42, 40 odd penalties, which it didn't really feel like, you know, it wasn't a niggly game, it wasn't a fraught game, but yeah, just an absolute raft of penalties. Really did make it quite stop-start. But you're absolutely right, what a game to come to Lasswade for. Hugely exciting at the end there, as you correctly mentioned, and you called it on the preview show yesterday. You know, it turned out to be one for the purists, but Peebles won't care a jot about the rugby or the quality of rugby or anything other than the scoreline, because they now are very much in the driving seat for the National 2 title. It's theirs to lose.
Absolutely. In fact, we're just totting them up at the moment, and obviously Falkirk winning today, which was 22 points to 17. Just checking if they got a try bonus on that one. No, they didn't. So just 4 points for Falkirk, the same as Peebles.
Yeah.
So Peebles have 55 at the top. Falkirk are on 51. Newton Stewart just scraped by Berwick today, 28 points to 25. In fact, they didn't go in the lead until the very last part of the match there. So we presume, if it's the same kind of weather conditions, Berwick raced to a 15-0 lead there with the wind advantage, but they held out, and Ali Grieve getting a try on his birthday as well. But 28 points to 25 to Newton Stewart. And again, just checking with the score lines there to see if there was a try bonus for Newton Stewart, and according to this, there was. So they will get 5 points on that. That puts them up to 50. So we've got Peebles 55, Falkirk 51, Newton Stewart 50, and Lasswade are on 44. So Newton Stewart, of course, have played 14 now, Falkirk 13, Peebles 13, and Lasswade 12. So yeah, Peebles is in the driving seat.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the fixtures as well, I think next up is Newton Stewart at home, I believe.
Yep.
And then the remaining 4 games are teams from the lower part of the league. So yeah, they very much are in the driving seat at the moment, Peebles, and that they just gutsed that out today. It really was a tremendously, as did Lasswade. Let's not forget, Lasswade lost a player reasonably early in the game, had to play the remainder with 14 men, and at times it was 13 men. And yeah, they can hold their heads high today as well. They contributed to what was a dramatic spectacle.
Well, just coming in at the moment, Musselburgh 12, Selkirk 22, a 4th try for Selkirk. Bill McLaren Shield possibly on the way.
Bill McLaren Shield, and that's a gutsy effort up there by Selkirk. We again spoke on the preview show and said that it might be a difficult one to call. It didn't feel like it was going to go all Musselburgh's way, even though they're higher up the table than Selkirk. And yeah, getting away from Philiphaugh, the pressure comes off, the shackles are relieved a wee bit, and yeah, if they can see that out, that's a really, really good effort.
But going back to today, 3 things really, wasn't it? There was a red card, there's obviously the wind that we can hear at the moment still gusting away, and the penalty count, the 3 things there.
Yeah, the red card, Scott Tomlinson called it straight away as soon as it happened. He said that's a red, so that looked to be fair enough. But that, well, it wasn't a sea change in the game, because the weather levelled it, and Musselburgh, Lasswade are used to playing in these conditions here, so that it wasn't like a normal red card in that it massively swung the balance of play in favour of the opposition. But Dale Robertson at the time was really playing well. He's one of the talismanic figures in the Lasswade ranks, so of course his departure did have an impact. But yeah, the wind was the key factor today. But yeah, both teams handled it pretty well. Lasswade played really well into it in the first half, and Peebles certainly didn't capitulate into it in the second half. So yeah, but it's certainly a contributing factor. Difficult for players, commentators and media bodies alike.
I now bring you all the National 2 results and the table. So Aberdeen Grammar 29, Kirkcaldy 41, Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17, Lasswade 18, Peebles 21, Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25, and just come in now, Stirling County match at Bridgeall 26, Stewmel 46. So that means Peebles 55, we've got second place Falkirk 51, Newton Stewart 50, Lasswade 44, Gordonians 36. They just picked up a point today. In sixth place now, Stewmel on 27. Kirkcaldy though rise above Stirling County to 25. Stirling County on 22, and then Berwick holding on in ninth place with 15 points. Aberdeen with 15 as well. Both of them getting bonus points today.
Yeah, I think that's that today's been a good afternoon for Berwick. It sounds like, judging by the scoreline, certainly that's a really gutsy effort for me to go away through their massively long bus journey. Terrible conditions, no doubt. And yeah, they've sort of toughed that out, and they could have lost today and not received, they could have walked away with nothing, and Aberdeen could have quite feasibly have beaten Kirkcaldy. So I think now that the dust is settled, I think that's not a bad afternoon for Berwick all in all, with Aberdeen to play in January at Scrammerston.
So we're out the Premiership then, if we can battle against the wind here. Curry 50, Glasgow Hawks 20, Kelso 48, Mar 24. Extraordinary result in the 2 o'clock games, and at the moment it's Jed Forest 13, Herricks Blues 17 and Musselburgh 12, Selkirk 24 at half time there. But the two matches that have been completed, Curry were down by 12 points to 7, but they certainly came back, and again you'd imagine the wind would be playing a big part in the second half, because they ran away with it in the end by 50 points to 20. But Kelso 48, Mar 24. Neil Hinnigan, Director of Rugby, was saying they wanted a big scalp this season. He's got it.
Oh, he's got it, and they've turned the tables on the result over at Fullerton earlier in the season. My predictions have been in the main appalling recently, but I'm going to say that I called this one. I didn't call a scoreline of that nature, but I did fancy Kelso. It was always going to be a good occasion down there today. Poinder, they're well supported anyway. Kelso, there's the big occasion for the Kelso Quins being played there today as well, and just the whole sort of Christmas vibe, everybody up for a good time. I think that'll have been a great occasion down there today, and the players have obviously turned up and produced the goods. That is we talked about a statement win last week over at Philiphaugh for Kelso. That's an even bigger statement win today, and they now, with if Selkirk can do Kelso a favour by beating Musselburgh as they are at the moment in terms of Kelso's race for fourth, Kelso have done Hawick a big favour today as well.
Let's go to Poinder Park now, because I think David Ferguson has a full-time report on this one.
It finishes here at Poinder Park this afternoon with a phenomenal game between Kelso and Mar. Kelso winners 48 points to 24. Kelso were up 31-7 at half-time after flying out the traps with a try by Dwayne Patterson after only 29 seconds, followed up by a conversion and penalty from Patterson, and then a Bruce McNeil try which had them 17-0 ahead. Mar came back to make it 17-7 with a try by Ali Rogers, but it was really all Kelso in the first half. Bruce McNeil pick up and dive over from a close range scrum, and then Archie Barber finishing off a fantastic try when a turnover on halfway, and Archie Barber showed his pace as Kelso fullback to go in for a score. Dwayne Patterson converting both for a 31-7 half-time lead. Second half, Kelso really shut Mar down. Mar were playing with the strong wind, and there was an advantage with the wind. Mar had it in the second half, but they really couldn't find a way past Kelso. Keith Melbourne scored a great try for Kelso to make it 36 points to 7 after just 56 minutes. And in that key third quarter, Mar were frustrated, and that was where the game really was confirmed as Kelso's. Mar did come back late on. Kelso had scored again with a try from Angus McGregor after only 66 minutes, made it 41-7, so the game was theirs then. But Connor Bickerstaff scored a try, and Kelso responded straight away with another by Archie Barber, which took them up to 48 points. But then Mar came back with a try from Gregor Paxton and another from Willie Farker right at the death, which gave Mar a bonus point. But that was all it was. Bonus point, consolation. This was definitely Kelso's Kelso's game, 48 points to 24. Now Kelso think they may be in the running for the playoffs.
Yes, they certainly are. Thank you very much, David Ferguson there. And Robin, they've gone past Embrackis. They're now at the very least going to be 6 to 9.
Yeah, and they've got that game in hand over some of the teams as well, and they've got that thing that people often talk about in all sports, and that's momentum. It would seem on their side as well. That'll be taken away to an extent because there's a bit of a break period now, but yeah, they've just got Kelso rugby in general just looks to be in a really good place at the moment. Lots of boys training. Looks like everybody's pulling in the same direction. The Quins are obviously going pretty well. I believe there's 2 or 3 boys in there that will make the step up in the fullness of time as well. So yeah, just in a really good place at the moment, and that's a really, really big win today, although not that unforeseen.
And of course, if Musselburgh lose today and don't get anything, then Kelso will go above them as well into 5th place. And then, of course, they've only got Heriot's Blues to get by, who, of course, are currently winning by 17 points to 13. And you would expect, to be perfectly honest, them to get 5 points today.
Yeah, I think so. That would be on the cards. Heriot's will have sterner tests, however, in the run-in, and let's not forget, and it sort of pains me a wee bit to put it like this as somebody that's from Jedburgh originally. Kelso have still got, in Kelso's quest for points, Kelso have still got Jed to play as well.
Okay, National 1 then. Dundee 13, Melrose 53 today.
Yeah,
big win for Melrose.
Result.
They go into 2nd place, and as you said on the Friday Rugby preview, really Melrose that should be a minimum for them, 2nd place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's a good result for Melrose today. That's possibly even a better result in some ways than their home win last week against Highland. Because of the nature of Melrose's season, they kind of beat most teams at home, and then they slip up on the road, and that could have been a wee bit of a banana skin today if the heads weren't right. But no, they've obviously gone up there and done a professional job, and for that they should be commended, absolutely.
Well, just on the hour, and it's now Ayr 73, GHK 19. So a word of praise, I think, at least for the Millbrae men, who have gone, what's that now, 14, well, assuming that GHK aren't going to do a remarkable comeback, that will be 14 out of 14 in National 1.
Oh yeah, you won't hear enough praise from me. They have been nothing short of sensational this season. The table doesn't lie, the results don't lie. There's every chance they're going to go invincible through the whole season. They've wrapped up the league before Christmas. Great squad of players, all look like they're playing for each other, all look like they're pulling in the same direction. Really strong second team setup as well, and yeah, I can't give enough praise to Grant Anderson as well. What a tremendous job he's done. Nothing but the utmost praise for what's happened down there this season. All credit to him. They're almost the blueprint in some regards for how to have a club team and a super rugby team. Now they're going to come up into the Premiership next season, and they're going to potentially do a bit of damage, because let's not forget, clubs who are in the Premiership that also have a Super Rugby team, the Super Rugby players can play down, provided that the club team is in the Premiership. So let's put a hypothetical situation out there. Ayrshire Bulls Super Series are at home to the Futures, and Ayr, who are running along okay in the league, are away to Hawick. They don't need the best. They potentially don't need the best of their Super Rugby players to beat the Futures at home, so they'll possibly stick 5 or 6 of them in the team to go play Hawick. That's the kind of thing that could happen, and they could dish out a few bloody noses next season.
Certainly could. Now, National 3 we haven't really spoken about today, but here are the results, if the win will let me give you them. Allen Glens 34, Cartha Queen's Park 5, Boroughmuir 24, Preston Lodge 39, Dumfries 27, Howe 5 27, Hamilton 24, West of Scotland 36, Hillhead Jordan Hill 21, Orkney 18, and Orkney just run out of time this time, haven't they? Because they've had 4 very close wins by a single point and a couple of points, but today they found Hillhead Jordan Hill too strong for them, in obviously a leveller with the weather, but that means now that they're now behind Preston Lodge by a few points.
Yeah, Preston Lodge, of course, at the ding dong with Berwick, tail end of last season, and yeah, that's Orkney slip up there, and just it just shows how tight it is at the top of that division, and yeah, it'll be a long old trek back up there tonight.
Well, latest score coming in, Ayr 80 now, GHK 19, procession over there at Millbrae, and more importantly I suppose from a Premiership point of view, Musselburgh 19, Selkirk 29.
Yeah, so there's still a bit of Musselburgh have clearly scored a try there, but there's obviously still daylight there, 10 points of a gap, and yeah, fair play to Selkirk, as I said earlier. If they can go up there today and hold on for a win, that's a big scalp. They've been in, let's be honest about it, they've been in a wee bit of a rut in recent weeks after what was a little bit of a purple patch. They kind of slipped back into mire a wee bit, but yeah, that'll be a big win if it transpires up there, and that'll please Sesh no end.
That's right, and Heriots Blues have just scored their try bonus, so it's Jed Forest 13, Heriots Blues 22. We're going to have a little regroup now. We're going to be talking Youth Finals Day very, very shortly, so stay with us, don't go anywhere. We're on the air until 5 o'clock tonight.
Something is happening, and it started happening when you walked by. Something is happening, and it's changing everything. Do you know why? Soon as you started to kiss me, something new suddenly hit me. The world over, it's always happening, the same sort of thing to others too. Something is happening to me, and I only hope the same thing is happening to you. Something is happening, exciting, bewildering, you must know why. Something is happening, I can't think of anything but you and I. What begins these loving notions? You do things to my emotions. I can't help whatever is happening. There's nothing about it I can do. Something is happening to me, and I only hope the same thing is happening to you. Soon as you started to kiss me, something new suddenly hit me. The world over, it's always happening, the same sort of thing to others too. Something is happening to me, and I only hope the same thing is happening to you. What begins these loving notions? You do things to my emotions. I can't help whatever is happening. There's nothing about it I can do. Something is happening to me, and I only hope the same thing is happening to you.
Oh, it is good to hear that one again. That's Herman's scores with Peter Noon, and something is happening from about, I think 1964, 65 time. Hugh Brown shaking his head. I think he thinks I've got that totally wrong. I have, yeah. It was a bit later, was it? A bit later. We'll be joining Hugh very shortly and bringing you in as well, because we're going to be talking Cup Finals Day, which is happening tomorrow at Murrayfield. Also, a final chat with Steven Turnbull. He's the referee from the Borders, who's quite a high profile in the the Scottish rugby referees ranks. We ran part of that interview last week. We've got the other two parts, and that's pretty interesting. Probably the best journalist covering the youth game in Scotland is Alan Lorimer. So let's bring in Alan Lorimer now.
The youth finals are what this weekend is all about in age grade rugby, with the majority of the games being played tomorrow at Murrayfield, but with 2 under-18 matches going ahead today, and notably at Poynter Park, where Kelso Quins take on Selkirk Youth Club in the final of the under-18 plate, the game following Kelso's premiership match against Mar. Quins have enjoyed a strong season thus far, and as a result will go in as favourites against a Selkirk youth team, which is always, as always, has some exciting performers, but which in recent years has suffered from the falling school roll at Selkirk High School. The main focus of interest will be on Hawick, who have 2 teams heading for Murrayfield tomorrow. The under-18 team taking on Ayr in the final of the Shield at the Hive, and the under-16s having the privilege of playing on the international pitch in the Cup final against Curry Chieftains. Both games are hard to call simply because the white teams play in different leagues or conferences from their opponents, so have not played against them. A white success in the under-16 Cup would be a fantastic boost for the young Greens, but they will be up against a Curry side that has benefited hugely from a restructuring of youth rugby at the Malney Park Club that it hopes will provide a stream of players ready to step into senior rugby. White 16s certainly showed their capability with a 30-5 away win over Ayr in the semi-final, and that result should have instilled confidence into the lads. White 18s face a difficult task against an Ayr side that has several players who have represented Glasgow and the West at district level, and a prop who has played senior rugby this season. But Hawick have gone well in the Borders Semi-Junior League this season, their recent form having brought them up to second place in the league, just behind leaders Morpeth. Meanwhile, Gala Red Triangle faced GHA in the Under-16 Shield final, but the Netherdale boys will not have the thrill of playing on either of the 2 main pitches at Murrayfield, and instead are banished to one of the back pitches, rather deflating the experience of going to Scottish Rugby's headquarters. Finally, Gen Thistle are at home to Deeside tomorrow for the Under-16 plate final, and will be confident of taking the trophy after a good set of results already this season.
That's Alan Lorimer reporting on the big weekend for many youth teams in this country. And let's just recap on them again. In the Under-18 Cup Final, Boroughmuir against Stirling County, 6 o'clock tomorrow at Murrayfield. Under-18 Shield Final, Hawick Youth against Ayr Wellington, that's 6 o'clock but at the Hive Stadium. In the Under-18 Plate, it's Kelso Quins against Selkirk Youth Club, that's being played today at Poynter Park at 5 o'clock. The Under-18 Bull Final, Kirkcaldy versus Hamilton Straven, that was at 2 o'clock today at Beveridge Park in Kirkcaldy. Still waiting on the result of that one. In the Under-16s, the Cup Final is Curry against Hawick Youth Club. That's tomorrow at 1:30 on the main Murrayfield pitch. Under-16 Shield is Gala Red Triangle versus GHA. We'll hear from the Gala Red Triangle camp a little bit later on. That's 1:30 tomorrow on the back pitches at Murrayfield. The Under-16 Bowl Final, Falkirk against Aberdeen Wanderers. That's tomorrow at Falkirk. And the Under-16 Plate Final, Jed Thistle versus Deeside, being played tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Jedburgh. And we mustn't forget about the girls as well. The Under-18 Cup Final, Biggar against Stirling, 4 o'clock tomorrow at Murrayfield on the main pitch. Girls Under-18 Shield is Dumfries against Gerry. That's tomorrow at 4 o'clock at the Hive Stadium. In the Under-16 Cup Final, Biggar will play Stirling County tomorrow at 11:30 at the Hive, and the Under-16 Shield between Annan and Dumfries tomorrow at 11:30 on the back pitches. Well, let's rejoin Hugh Brown, who's with Rugby Radio's Ewan Welsh now. He's been involved in youth rugby for a long time. He comes from Hawick, of course, and they've got 2 teams out tomorrow. The Under-16 Cup Final versus Curry, and the Under-18 Shield Final against Ayr Wellington.
Yes, it's a huge achievement, Ewan, isn't it, for 2 Hawick teams to be in 2 different finals?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, two teams, one Under-16, one Under-18, competing at Murrayfield on finals days is huge, and that shows that there's obviously a good progression level, a good field of bodies. I was having a look at the Under-16s team, and not only have they got a team and a full bench of replacements, but they've also got squad members who have missed the cuts. So that shows that there's a lot of boys in the area that are really wanting to pick up rugby, really wanting to succeed, and get into finals will then lead on to next year's band of youngsters wanting to do the same. So it's going to help with a consistent flow, and Hawick have consistently over the last number of years, especially as I grew up, they've always kind of had teams in and around finals day, and that always offers that kind of friendly competitiveness, because then you get boys next year wanting to either better or equal the team that have went before them. So I think it's huge for the town as well that they've got a full day out, if you like. I know it's maybe no ideal timing with being the week before Christmas, but that's out with obviously Hoyt's control. But they'll just hope that they can get as many boys up there as possible and as many people to cheer on the boys.
And the under-18s had a really good win last Saturday against Tynedale Volunteer Park and ran in 5 tries.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great preparation for a final, because it gives you confidence. And it was also reported that there was no injuries, which is huge, because you wouldn't want boys that have played all season to have a bad injury the week before a final. So I think scoring 5 tries fills you with confidence, and it came through try scorers in the team. So again, prolific try scorers having a try the week before again fills you with confidence. So that's done the world of good to get that win.
We've talked about Ayr's senior team who are running away in their league, but what are the Ayr's youth team like then in comparison?
Again, Ayr's a bit like Hoyk in terms of their structure, where they are, from a young age, they're very driven in what they want to achieve and bringing players right up through the system. And this Ayr team, for example, they had, from a Hoyk perspective, you look at their result last week, where they got beat off the West by 27 points to 14, and that would make you think that maybe this isn't an Ayr team who are maybe at their full best, or they're maybe having issues. But reading the reports kind of around that game, they did have a 12-point lead at half time, and I think the second half the kind of picture changed a little. I think that was reported on the offside line, that there was a little bit of a change of mindset in terms of taking players off just to keep them fit for the finals. So there's maybe a different kind of approach there for Ayr around what they did in that game. But although they've got beat, I think they'll still be fully confident going at this one. And I know that Hoyk have had a game against Ayr before at the finals. When I was young, there was a big game up at Murrayfield between the two. So I think it'll be a similar kind of battle, where it's just a battle who's fitting on the day to really go for it and try their best.
It's a massive achievement for Hoyk Youth, and quite an occasion to be playing at the Hive tomorrow night, the home of Edinburgh Rugby, of course. And although they're not actually playing on the main pitch, it's still going to be huge for the lads, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still got that kind of final build up to it. Everything during the week will have all been about the build up and the lead up to that. I think it is still a massive stadium, much bigger than anything I've played on at a league level or anything. So I think there will be that atmosphere, it being a much bigger game, although it's, as you say, it's not in the actual bowl of Murrayfield. But I think there'll definitely be a massive atmosphere surrounding it, and the boys will have psyched themselves up for it. I think they'll have had a big week in terms of training and preparing for it, and getting the coaches will have distilled the mindset into them ready for tomorrow. So I think it'll play a huge bit of mental. It'll require a lot of mental strength in order to come through tomorrow with the same sort of way they've had take to the game during the normal league season.
There can be some negativity about the future of rugby in towns like Hoyk and some of the other border teams as well, with some of the senior teams struggling sometimes to field a full team. Do you think occasions like this, the finals at Murrayfield and elsewhere over this weekend, are actually a really positive thing for the future of the game?
Oh, definitely. And I think I like how they have big finals days, because I think that built around the country, that'll build up a lot of united and encouragement around the whole youth system, because I think it gets everybody playing at the same time. There's a bit of a buzz, obviously, around Murrayfield tomorrow. There will be a bit of a buzz, and I think it's let's probably be serious. There is probably a dwindling number of players at junior level and then rising up to senior level across the country, and that's obvious by the number of teams that there are left. Look at Hoyk in particular. They had 2 semi-junior teams at one point, and they then merged into one. The senior teams, they've had senior teams drop off in previous seasons, and Hoyk's probably one of the teams who have got the most number of teams playing every weekend at a senior level as well. So I think it's definitely a positive that there's these kind of big cup final days. I think it's positives that Hoyk, for example, has two teams playing at a final, an under 16 teams and under 18s, I think that'll give, especially under 16s, that'll give them huge confidence, because it can mean that you can go next season and have a really strong under 18s season, where I think maybe that's what happens at maybe semi-junior level. I know what happened to Jed a few seasons ago, where 1 minute they were at the top. I think they were due to play in a cup final before COVID. But then since then they've maybe been on the kind of downward spiral, and that's just the way that the kind of age grade system works. And you can't only determine how many players you're going to have the next again season, but I think for the Hawick under 16s to know that they're doing well at under 16s level can only fill them with confidence going forward in under 18s, regardless of the result tomorrow in that what is a huge game for them in that cup final against Purdie.
And Stuart was going through the teams that have made it through to the finals of the Cup, Shield and Bowl over this weekend, and the good news for Borders Rugby is that there are 5 teams no less in those various finals. That has to bode well, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that comes from there's a great kind of still that kind of club aspect at that level, where there's a right kind of social aspect as well. At under 18s there's a lot of tight knit groups across all the different teams, and I think playing the keeping the Border semi-junior league, where it's a match kind of you're not having to spend massive amounts of time travelling, I think that adds a huge impact, because you have to remember that these youngsters have got different options. So if they wanted, they could easily ditch rugby and take up another sport that they've maybe been good at, or some of them might have to work a Saturday or a Sunday. So there's many different factors that are contributing to maybe why there's dwindling numbers, but keeping the things like close knit kind of leagues where you're only having to travel to maybe a different border town or across the border into Morpeth and Tynedale, that can only help. And I think as long as there's a good kind of notion around the spirit in the borders about youths playing rugby and building them up through S1, S2, S3, then under 15s, under 16s and under 18s, as long as there's constant progression and the main kind of key figures in different social groups are wanting to play rugby, then you'll always get a lot of players. And I think that's evident when you look at different squad sizes. If you get the right kind of players playing and loving the rugby and enjoying it and really making it a big part of their social life as well, then it adds a huge amount of time, because you have to remember that these youngsters have got a lot of other commitments nowadays with exams and work and working about their future, that sometimes rugby doesn't always take priority. But if you can make it almost a social aspect and focused around fun, then that's only going to be something that's going to better them.
And we've mentioned already that one of the finals takes place at 5 o'clock, in fact, at Poynter Park, following Kelso's excellent victory today against Mar. That's Kelso Harlequins against Selkirk Youth Club in the under-18 plate final. That's a mouth-watering one. Absolutely, and I think it's great that they've chosen to have that Poynter. Between the two clubs, they'll have a bumper crowd down there for sure, especially after that result this afternoon for Kelso. So I think the idea of a nice border derby for that, although it's maybe one of the competitions further down the priority list, if you like, I think that'll have a huge play for it. I mean, both teams are teams that haven't really been at the very top junior rugby, so for them to be in a final between two Borders teams with a bumper crowd there, I mean, that's only going to do the boys the world of good. Well, we wish all the teams taking part in the finals this weekend, both down in the Borders and indeed at Murrayfield and the Hive, all the best. I'm sure you'll be cheering on the two Hawick teams, that's for sure. Ewan Welsh of Rugby Radio joining me there to talk about the finals weekend, which is taking place, the youth finals weekend, and always an exciting weekend, Stuart. It certainly is. And in the under-16 Shield final, which is tomorrow, Gala Red Triangle playing GHA, we're going to hear from one of the GRT coaches now, and that's Peter McCartan.
The players and the coaches are really excited and privileged to be representing our community town and club at National Youth Finals Day. To come through the group stage and perform well against National Conference 1 side was really encouraging and challenging for us as players and coaches, but something that the group has really embraced and got better for that experience, and have grown as players and as people as well for that experience, which is really, really good to see. It's been really challenging for them being on the road for all the games in the group and then in the knockout stages as well. So trying to motivate the boys to keep going every week when they know they're on the road was something that the coaches done a really, really good job at, which is credit to us as coaches as well, to keep the boys motivated to keep going. Something that's been a real positive for us, being able to play away on the road as well. From a coaching group point of view, we're just really proud of the boys and how they've developed as a group. It's been a 2-year plan. with this age group to get them to the stage they're at the moment, and it's a credit to themselves for driving their own development and wanting to get better in certain areas of the game, which is great. And the excitement round about the town is really, really encouraging, and it's a great achievement for the town and the club to have a side represented at National Youth Finals Day, and the boys are really looking forward to putting on a show on Sunday, and hopefully leaving a positive imprint on the National Youth Finals Day in terms of how Gala Rugby can play and what Gala Rugby is all about. And that's what we've spoken about this week is performance over result. We're just focusing on ourselves and how we want to play on Sunday and putting on a good show to keep the good reputation of the club intact at Murrayfield, because we have got a good history of being there, and that's what we're really looking forward to, is putting on a good performance. The side this week will be led by our co-captains who have been excellent all season, and Sam Scott and Hamish Segi, and they're really honoured and privileged to have that responsibility for the weekend. Hopefully they can take the experiences for the weekend into their Gala Wanderers days and kick on from there and do some really, really good things as they progress further up the club. But we just want to thank the club committee for the support we show all the youth sides at the club as well, and all our supporters that have travelled. Obviously we would like to thank our sponsor Borders Computing for all their support this year as well.
Peter McCartan, coach of Gala Red Triangle, we wish them all the best against GHA. Finally, 5 o'clock today, as was mentioned there by Hugh Brown, the under-18 plate final taking place at Poynter Park between Kelso Harlequins and Selkirk Youth Club. And we can get the thoughts now of Richard Lang, one of the coaches from Kelso, then John Rutherford, former Selkirk Scotland and British and Irish Lions player, of course, as well, who's been involved in the youth club setup at Selkirk.
The kind of confidence in the way we've tried to change the way we play over the last couple of years. Everybody's bought into it. You can see them working on it themselves now, developing, and in training we step back and they're actually doing a lot of the dictating how they play and voices on the on the training pitch, and it kind of carries over into the game. And that's what you're wanting as coaches. You want them to do more, and you can step back, give them the pointers, but allow them to learn, grow and develop. And we've got some good key players in the right places, so you can build your team around that and on how we play, the structures we put in place, and it kind of brings everybody on. And great numbers at training means you can do a lot of stuff, keep to the game plan, stick and do stuff, and you get your rewards. So it's pleasing the way we've just developed and grown, and every year we get a tranche of people moving out, a lot of younger under 16s moving up, and they're buying into it, they get on with it, and I think a lot of them are going to the gym as well, so it's helping that whole structure of what you do in preparation for moving up to eventually senior rugby, which I think is the goal for us, is to produce people and players that can step up and supply the first team, second team, and just keep that continual progression through the club, from minis right through 16s, 18s, and then into senior rugby.
Last season we only had 14 registered players, and we had to rely on other clubs to help us out. Our problem down in the Borders is just numbers. I don't think there's even 400 at Jed or Selkirk. We're actually doing miracles down here to keep rugby going, and I've always thought at Philipot we've always punched above our weight, but to remain a Premiership side is quite incredible. We've got a core group of 15, 16, 3 preliminary rounds, a quarter-final, a semi-final, a very tough semi-final against Jed, and now in a final. They've done really well. I'm very proud of them and the coaches. They're in the final, they deserve to be there, and I think they'll really enjoy playing on Poynter Park. There'll be a good atmosphere. There'll be a few Kelso supporters there that have been watching their first team against Mar, and hopefully they'll stay on and create a good atmosphere for the boys.
Good to hear from John Rutherford and also Richard Lang there, and that match kicking off at 5 o'clock. We wish them both the best of luck in that one. It's all over at National 1, Air 94, GHK 24. Now, GHK taking a bit of a hammering there, but they did come out with it with a try bonus, and that could be absolutely crucial at the end of the season. Of course, they beat Dundee, as you remember. Dundee beaten by Melrose today by 53 points to 13. So GHK have 18 points now at the bottom of the table, just one away from Dundee on 19. Biggar are in 8th with 30. Gala 33 didn't play today. In 6th place, it's GHA on 36. In 5th with 39, Watsonians also on 39, but in 4th with a better points difference, Glasgow Accies, and Glasgow Accies won today against Biggar by 43 points to 29. In 3rd place, Highland, who didn't play today, they're on 40. Melrose in 2nd on 44, but the champions Ayr, 68 points for them, and a resounding victory for them. In the National 2 today, the results: Aberdeen Grammar 29, Kirkcaldy 41, Falkirk 22, Gordonian 17, Lasswade 18, Peebles 21 at the game that we thoroughly enjoyed here, Stirling County 26, Stumel 46, and in another game it was Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25. Newton Stewart just sneaking it at the end, despite a great performance from Berwick, and in fact the captain of Berwick, Ali Grieve, birthday boy today, scored a try, and we can just catch up with him right now.
A good performance from us today, narrowly losing by 3 points, which Newton Stewart kicked in the last 4 minutes. We were in control in the first half, winning 15-0. Newton Stewart kind of came back into it. It was a good game, hard, physical, a couple of injuries, but we're going into the Christmas break now, so a few weeks off to get boys to recover. Try scorers today was the 2 birthday boys, Nathan Melrose and myself, and Jack Dalrymple squeezing at the corner. Jack Webster kicked 2 conversions and 2 penalties.
Good to hear from Ali Grieve after the match, which kicked off at 2 o'clock today. So Berwick, of course, at the bottom end of the table, still in 9th. Aberdeen got a try bonus today in their defeat at home to Kirkcaldy. So still all to play for at the bottom of National 2. Both teams on 15 points, but it's points difference separating them at the moment. Kirkcaldy going above Stirling County, so Stirling County now on 22 points in 8th position. Kirkcaldy in 7th and Stumel in 6th. Their win today, very, very good result from them. Now, last week on the programme, you may remember, I had a chat with one of Scotland's top referees, Steven Turnbull, who was talking about a number of subjects from referee abuse to the new laws. Today we're returning to that interview that I had with him.
Well, we saw it at the World Cup, and we've seen it certainly in the club games that we've covered, that there seem to be more yellow cards being given out now, simply because of the tackle height and you know, people still trying to get used to that. I think the next generation, we were discussing this earlier, that the next generation will be taught at source about the tackle height, and you know, you can't go above the sternum, and that will be feeding through in the next 5-10 years or so as they get used to being coached that way, and those are the rules. But it's the players who've been playing, I suppose, 10 years or so who can't get out of that habit, and think there's nothing wrong until suddenly they've got a yellow card in their face.
It's really difficult to adapt to, and I would say on the yellow card side, it's probably been more for the kind of the accumulation of infringements throughout the game, rather than the kind of head contact, which didn't change from last season. It was still the same head contact process. But I would say that changing player behaviour throughout a game is often pretty challenging, so you can have those conversations, but the accumulation just comes as a result of players kind of, particularly towards the end of the game when they're getting more tired and a bit lazy on the tackle height. But for us as referees, it's about educating players throughout the game as well as managing that, so making sure that they're clear on what the expectations are. But also working hard with clubs and coaches. We've got a number of referees, and we did it at the start of the season, we continue to do it. We would work with clubs to support them on how we're looking to referee the tackle height, what are the key things that they need to be focused on in terms of coaching their players. And I think that working together can't just stop after the start of the season gone or mid-season. It needs to continue throughout the season, and my hope is that we continue this. You know, I think it has made an impact in the game in terms of speeding it up and the offloads from those lower tackles, so I'm hoping that we continue with the tackle height trial as it is just now, because I think it is making a difference to the speed of the game.
I was talking to Richie Gray, not the player, the inventor, the man, the collision king, who's obviously made a living really out now of safety in the game and making sure it's safe for all, from youngsters right up to, you know, the big hitters in the professional game. And it was interesting talking to him about red and yellow cards and stuff like that. He would like to see red cards given only for thuggery, rather than anything else. So 2 yellows wouldn't exactly mean a red card. He always felt that punch to the head or something like that is an instant red. But it seems to me that certainly in the World Cup that there were a lot of red cards given for poor technique rather than what it used to be, I suppose, which was out and out thuggery, because red cards used to be pretty rare. Now it's pretty frequent.
I would say there has been an increase in red cards. I think that it's down to probably 2 things. The increase in offences by players, but also the vigilance of referees to make those decisions. And the challenge we have in the domestic game is we don't have the luxury of television match officials and bunker reviews that they did at the World Cup. So they can go through the various different lines of impact, what the intent was in their interpretation. We don't have that in the domestic game. So I think we need to support our referees to have the confidence to give the red cards, going by the guidelines on what we think they are. I think we've been pretty good this season, certainly from the ones that I've seen, and certainly the discipline process would back that up in terms of the number of upheld red cards. The double yellow card's an interesting one because it often depends what it's for. So if you have if you take a team infringement yellow card, the accumulation of infringements, and then you take another yellow card for a deliberate knock on or something, they're 2 completely different offences. So I can understand the commentary that it might be pretty unfair, but yeah, I would be reluctant to remove the kind of red card for those kind of offences, because I do think they have an impact on the game. And you only give a card if it really needs it, and there's merit to that card. So yeah, I would definitely support continuing, but making sure we make the right decisions and are not backed into a corner with a decision. Give what you see is my key thing to myself on that one.
One thing which I've read about, and it's not universally popular, but the introduction of, say, an orange card, if you like, in between for those moments that you just described, really, which weren't thuggery, but at the same time, they're worthy of a yellow card. But certainly if it was like a double, you'd get an orange or something for that situation. Is that something you would support?
Rugby is an extremely complicated game. They talked about streamlining the law book some time ago. I don't think it really achieved anything, because I think we retained the same number of laws, but just maybe a few less words. I think introducing another card just adds another layer of complexity to people. And it's not just the players and the coaches and the referees, it's the spectators, because at the moment trying to explain things to people is often quite difficult, because rugby, as I say, is a game of interpretation, but also it's contextual as well. So there might be moments in the game that, for example, the offside is always an interesting one to me. So if you're on the 5 metre line on one side and you hit into the first man from a pick and go, but the winger is offside on the other side of the pitch, then everybody expects that to be given as a penalty for offside. Now, for me, that's not material in the game in the context of what we're playing at that time. So trying to explain those nuances is difficult enough. Introducing another card, I think we just add an additional layer of unwanted complexity, in my opinion.
Steven Turnbull, good to hear from him as well, and lots of interesting things that he has to say about refereeing in Scotland. Well, it's all over at Stony Hill. Musselburgh 19, Selkirk 29. So the Bill McLaren Shield is going to Philiphock, and they also got a try bonus as well. And also it's full time at Riverside Park. We can cross to Alan Lorimer, who's there for Jed Forest against Heriots Blues.
And the final score at Riverside is Jed Forest 25, Heriots 29. So that means that arithmetically and officially that's Jed away from the Premiership. They'll drop out at the end of the season, but they certainly didn't go out without a fight, and they will be able to hold their heads up high after. They actually led 10-0 after the first quarter, the end of the first quarter, with a try from Rory Marshall, a penalty and conversion from Don Buckley. But Heriots hit back in the second quarter, try by Rory Jackson, their hooker, and Cam Meagher, the former Melrose wing. But that still left Jed 13-10 in the lead at half-time. Meagher got a second try shortly after the interval, converted by Graham Wilson, the veteran scrum half for Heriots. But then, after uncontested scrums had to be called, Heriots went further ahead with a second try for Jackson. and that made the score 13-22. But in typical gritty fashion, Jed hit back with a Clark Skeldon try, but Heriots again showing some really good handling in the backs, scored a peach of a try by Paul Christie, their wing, to go ahead 27 points to 18, and this time Luke Townsend converted to make it 29-18. But in the final bit of play, Lewis Young scrambled over for a try from close range, and the score was converted. So final score at Riverside, Jed Forest 25, Heriots 29.
It's been a cold, windy day today. Thank you to Alan Lorimer covering that game at Riverside Park today, and officially Jed Forest have been relegated to National 1, and officially champions Ayr with that 94-24 win over GHK. They are champions before Christmas, which is one hell of an achievement, so congratulations to them. Let's finally wrap up the programme with the scores and the tables for you today. In the Premiership, it was Currie 50, Glasgow Hawks 20, Kelso 48, Mar 24, Jed Forest 25, Heriots Blues 29, and Musselburgh 19, Selkirk 29. So Hawick at the top of the table despite not playing today, 61 points for them. Mar have 57, it's Currie on 52, Heriots Blues in 4th place, that playoff position, on 44. In 5th it's Kelso on 40, just ahead on points difference of Musselburgh, who also have 40, and then in 7th position Embrackie's 37, Selkirk 8th position with 30, Glasgow Hawks 29, and Jed Forest at the bottom with 5. In National 1 it was Watsonians 36, GHA 33, Dundee 13, Melrose 53, Glasgow Accies 43, Biggar 29, Ayr 94, GHK 24. So Ayr are at the top of the table as champions, 68 points for them. In 2nd place Melrose with 44, Highland have 40 points, then it's Glasgow Accies 39, just ahead of Watsonians on points difference. 36 it's GHA, 33 for Gala, 30 for Biggar, Dundee 19, and GHK have 18. And in National 2, Aberdeen Grammar 29, Kirkcaldy 41, Falkirk 22, Gordonians 17, Lasswade 18, Peebles 21 at the thriller here at Hawthornden, Newton Stewart 28, Berwick 25, and Stirling County 26, Stewart's Melville 46. So the table in National 2 looks like this: Peebles at the top with 55, then we've got on 2nd place Falkirk 51, we've got Newton Stewart on 50, Lasswade 44, Gordonians on 36, Stirling County on 27, Stumel on 27, Kirkcaldy on 25, Stirling 22, Berwick 15, and Aberdeen 15 as well at the bottom of the table. And International 3, Alan Glens against Cartha Queen's Park, 34 points to 5 to them. Boroughmuir 24, Preston Lodge 39, Dumfries 27, Howe Fife 27, Hamilton 24, West of Scotland 36, and Hillhead Jordan Hill taking the unbeaten record of Orkney by 21 points to 18. In National 4 it ended Garnock 43, Stewartry 14, that winning sequence continuing. Greenock Wanderers 19, North Berwick 15, Ross High 19, Dunfermline 43, Strathmore 75, Murrayfield Wanderers 0, and White Craigs 40, Perthshire 27. That's you totally up to date. And don't forget our weekly Scottish Club Rugby podcast, our last of the year. It's our 16th edition, available wherever you get your podcasts from right now, with Dale Clancy and myself. We'll be back for a special Waverley Cup broadcast between Melrose and Gala. That's at 2:30 on Boxing Day live from the Green Yards. And then in the new year we'll be back, weather permitting, on January the 6th. Some tasty games lined up for that, including Currie against Hawick at the top of the table, and Glasgow Hawks against Kelso. That's here on Rugby Radio. Hope you can join us then, but for now, from me and the team, a very good night.